Chapter 1484. In the sky, the black flames were extremely powerful. When they collided with the golden sword chi, they started to burn rapidly. In the next moment, the golden sword chi in the sky started to melt like snow in a raging fire. In an instant, the 108,000 golden divine swords in the sky and on the ground were all burned up by the black flames. What? How is this possible? Seeing this, Ancestor Morong and the others were shocked. Lin Xian's face also turned gloomy. There was nothing he could do. A two-star king was too terrifying. Although he had the dragon sword soul, his cultivation was still at the honorable realm. He could not use his full strength. Damn it! Lin Xian was unwilling to accept this. His body moved like lightning as he quickly retreated. In the next moment, a ferocious fire dragon appeared where he was standing and pierced through the void. Kid, you want to fight me? After defeating Lin Xian with one move, the heavenly netherbird snorted in disdain. Then he held the black furnace in his hand and swept it in all directions. One of the flames hit the octagon formation. Not good. Seeing this, the 3,000 honorables' faces changed. They quickly activated the octagon formation to fight against the heavenly netherbird. But at this moment, the black furnace was too terrifying. Even though the octagon formation was magical, it was still unable to fight against the heavenly netherbird. In the next moment, one of the light doors was shattered. The bodies of the honorables exploded and turned into a bloody mist. Seeing this, the Shen family's ancestor, the Happy King, and the others roared and wanted to rush over. However, the heavenly netherbird waved his hand and the boundless black flames rushed towards them. Damn it! The Shun family's ancestor sent out the golden giant, and the Happy King sent out 9 lotuses to fight against the black flames. However, a scene that shocked them appeared. Their attacks were actually burning fiercely in the black flames. What? How is this possible? All the kings were shocked and could not believe it. The Shen family's ancestor and the Happy King roared and tried to extinguish the black flames. But they could not do it. The black flames burned more and more fiercely. They even floated towards their bodies. Despair appeared in their eyes as they screamed crazily. However, it was useless. At the critical moment, Lin Xian also unleashed a sea of black flames to resist the heavenly netherbird's 9 nether black flames. Only then did he save the patriarch of the Shen family and the Happy King. The kings on Lin Xian's side let out a sigh of relief, but the sky netherbird was surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to have black flames in his hands, and he was very familiar with the aura. It was his 9 nether black flames. The next moment he understood. This was because Lin Xian had once obtained one of its primordial feathers, which contained its flame origin. Thinking about it, the other party must have obtained his 9 nether black flames by absorbing that feather. Brat, I didn't expect you to be so lucky as to obtain my black flame. But so what? This black flame can only be unleashed to its full potential when combined with my bloodline power. You can't even unleash your full strength. The heavenly netherbird sneered. It then activated the black furnace and attacked quickly. Boom! 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 The octagon formation was shattered into pieces. The other 7 light gates also exploded. 3,000 peerless sovereigns turned into nothingness and were all absorbed by the heavenly netherbird. The flames on the heavenly netherbird's body surged again, and an earth-shattering power was emitted from its body. Late-stage 2-star king. Seeing this, the crimson dragon's eyelids twitched. Then his face turned ugly. It's over, it's over. This guy actually succeeded. He has recovered to late-stage 2-star king. Brat, we have no hope. Indeed, the situation was very bad. When it was a mid-stage 2-star king, they already couldn't fight it. Now that it had become a late-stage 2-star king, it was even more impossible for them. Ha ha ha! After recovering to its peak state, the heavenly netherbird laughed wildly. Its voice shook the surroundings. The flames on its body surged like a sea, and it was extremely arrogant. In the next moment, it stopped laughing. Its huge head turned and stared at Lin Xian and the others. I will kill you all in a while. Brat, don't worry. I will give you special treatment. I will make you beg for death. The heavenly netherbird's cold gaze was like a sharp blade as it swept across Lin Xian and the others. Immediately, Ancestor Morong, the happy king, and the others trembled as a trace of fear appeared in their hearts. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's faces were terrifyingly gloomy. The situation was very bad. Of all the people they had brought, only the 7 of them were left. 3 king-killing formations and 3,000 peerless sovereigns had all been destroyed by the heavenly netherbird. In the entire sky, there were only 7 kings left. They were the last hope. However, the Crimson Dragon shook his head and sighed, "It's over. There's no hope. Brat, let's go." "Go? Where to?" Lin Xian frowned. "Back to the Tianan region. The Sky Martial Continent has no hope. The 7 of us can't fight against a late-stage 2-star king. Unless one of us breaks through to 2-star king, there's no hope." The Crimson Dragon shook his head. "The Sky Martial Continent is finished. We can go to the Tianan region. There's the Black Earth ship there. It's incomparably powerful. Even if this heavenly netherbird is a 2-star king, it can't break through the Black Earth ship. Why don't you cultivate in the Black Earth ship? When you break through to 2-star king, we'll come out." "No." Lin Xian shook his head decisively. At that time, there wouldn't be much left of the Sky Martial Continent. Moreover, at that time, the Tianan region would be in a terrible situation. Lin Xian didn't agree at all. One had to know that many of his friends and fellow disciples were in the Sky Martial Continent. Moreover, there were billions of living beings in the Sky Martial Continent. Running was not in line with his character. Seeing Lin Xian shake his head, the Crimson Dragon hurriedly transmitted, "What can you do if you stay here? You'll only be killed. You don't want to go to the true spirit continent. You don't want to climb to the peak of martial Tao. Dying here would be too much of a pity. I'd rather die in battle than retreat." Lin Xian's gaze was resolute. "If I don't even dare to face this little danger, how will I have the courage to go to the true spirit world in the future? What will I have to climb to the peak of the martial Tao? Don't say any more. Rizalong, help me one last time." Lin Xian's voice was firm and sonorous. "What are you doing?" The Crimson Dragon was worried. "Don't mess around. I have a secret art that can gather external energy. You 6 transfer the energy to me, and I'll go fight the heavenly netherbird." Lin Xian said, "What? That's too dangerous." The Crimson Dragon was shocked. "This is the last resort. I have the Dragon Sword spirit, and my battle power is extremely strong. Only I can face the heavenly netherbird head-on." Lin Xian was right. Even if the 7 kings teamed up, they still wouldn't be the heavenly netherbird's match. Moreover, the others couldn't resist that black flame at all. Only he could. Chapter 1485. Everyone, we have no way out. We can only fight with all our might. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. "I will use a secret technique. Please transfer all your energy to me." "All right. No problem. We believe in you." At this moment, Ancestor Morong, Din Xian, and the Happy King all nodded in agreement. They really had no way out. If they failed, the Heavenly Mistake continent would be destroyed. None of their descendants would be able to escape. Now they had to believe in Lin Xian. There was no other way. All right. The Crimson Dragon also sighed. If Lin Xian was unwilling to leave, he had no choice but to help him. In the next moment, Lin Xian used a secret technique. The dragon sword realm around him trembled rapidly and emitted a green light. Then 6 dragon heads appeared in the dragon sword realm. Each of them looked ferocious as they flew in front of the 6 kings. They just had to transfer their energy into them. Ancestor Morong, the Happy King, and Din Xian nodded and transferred their energy into the dragon heads. However, the Crimson Dragon did not do so. Kid, you just convinced me. I still have some secret techniques, but the side effects are more severe. But since you've decided to fight with your life, I won't hide anymore. I'll fight with you. All right. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. If there was anyone who could fight against the heavenly Netherbird and the Black Flames, it would be the Crimson Dragon. Wuji the snow-white monkey also jumped out and waved its paws. You want to join the battle too? All right, let's fight together. Lin Xian gripped his sword tightly. Seeing that Lin Xian and the others still dared to continue, the heavenly Netherbird was very surprised. But soon, it revealed a disdainful sneer. What? You don't want to run because of your ridiculous morals? What an idiot. Humph, you bastard, you won't understand. For the sake of the world, I'll kill you even if I have to risk my life. Behind them, Ancestor Morong and the Shun family's ancestor roared with all their might. For the sake of the world? How stupid! The heavenly Netherbird sneered in disdain. All right, I'll let the world see what you people are like. I really want to know how the people of the world will react when they see the 7 of you kneeling in front of me. Ha 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 ha. The heavenly Netherbird looked up to the sky and laughed. Then it flapped its wings and countless black flames shot up into the sky. Damn it, what are you trying to do? Ancestor Morong and the others roared madly. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was ice cold. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. If you dare to lay your hands on ordinary people, I will definitely not let you off. Don't worry, I'm not interested in those ants. The heavenly Netherbird sneered. I just want those people to see your current situation clearly. Sure enough, in the next moment, the black flames in the sky quickly spread out in all directions, forming huge light screens that floated in the sky. On the Martial Heaven continent, everyone knew that Lin Xian's group of 7 had led countless peak experts to kill the Heaven Netherbird. But what was the result? None of them knew. They could only wait patiently because no one dared to watch the battle. In the Morong family, Morong Qingqing was dressed in purple. Her beautiful face was filled with nervousness. To be honest, she was very worried about the ancestor and Lin Xian's safety. However, he wasn't a king yet and couldn't help at all. He could only wait patiently. In the Shen family, Shen Jingqiu was also nervous. Her small hands tightly gripped the corner of her clothes. In Senmu College, countless disciples and young geniuses were waiting silently. They were shouting in their hearts, Dean Lin Xian, you must succeed. In the Palace of Gods of War, the 9th Elder and the others were even more nervous. Apart from them, the Merry Woods, Deity Sword Manor, and various sects were all praying in their hearts. They hoped that Lin Xian's group of 7 would win. But in the next moment, countless black flames suddenly flew down from the sky. What's that? Everyone was extremely nervous as they stared at the sky. They didn't know where the flames came from, but the aura they emitted made everyone tremble. Many of the House of Kings even activated their defensive array. However, the black flames didn't attack. Instead, they quickly transformed into a light screen in the sky. In the next moment, the figures of Lin Xian's group of 7 appeared on the light screen. What? Is this a battle scene? Everyone was shocked. The elders of the House of Kings were even more shocked. They realized that this was indeed a battle scene, but they didn't know who had created it. At this moment, an ice-cold voice sounded from the black light screen. Ants, do you really want to know the battle situation? Do you want to know why there are no other kings other than the 7 of them? Hearing this cold voice, everyone trembled. A trace of fear appeared in their eyes. This was because the voice was filled with the aura of a king. The heavenly Netherbird. Damn it, it's the heavenly Netherbird speaking. A martial artist looked at the light screen and roared crazily. That's right, Everyone realized that this was the voice of the heavenly Netherbird. Ha 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 ha. Ants, you've guessed right. It's me. The heavenly Netherbird's sinister voice sounded again. Let me tell you, other than the 7 kings, the rest have all been killed by me. Killed all of them? That's impossible. Everyone was shocked. The martial artists of the House of Kings and the rank 6 sects all screamed. Their eyes were filled with fear. They knew how strong the people that Lin Xian had taken away were. They were the strongest group of experts in the entire Tianwu continent. But now, other than Lin Xian's group of 7, everyone had been killed? This made their brains go blank. They couldn't believe it. Damn it! On the other side, Lin Xian's group heard the heavenly Netherbird's words, and their faces turned gloomy. He knew that he couldn't let the other party continue to be arrogant. In the next moment, Lin Xian shouted. His voice was like thunder that spread in all directions. Kill! With a roar, sword qi surged from his body. The dragon sword realm released a bright light as the power of the 5 kings behind him surged into his body. Boom! Lin Xian's body surged with a blazing light as a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. This aura was too strong. With the power of the 5 kings and the great dragon sword soul, Lin Xian was extremely strong at this moment. His battle strength had reached the level of a 2-star king. What? He can combine the power of the other 5 and use it for himself? The heavenly Netherbird's pupils shrank. To be honest, he didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a technique. But soon after, he sneered and a trace of disdain appeared in his eyes. Even if the 5 of them combined their power, so what? At most, they would only have the strength of a 2-star king. On the other hand, he had the strength of a 2-star king. The difference between them was like heaven and earth. Kid, I have to say that you have some skills, but in front of me it's useless. Chapter 1486. Kill. However, Lin Xian was not moved at all. He had obtained the power of the 5 king tiers, and at this moment he had become extremely powerful. With the dragon-shaped sword in his hand, he looked like a god of swords. 108,000 swords, kill! Lin Xian roared, and the dragon's sword domain shook as a golden heavenly rock charged out. The feathers on its body turned into countless golden swords. This time, the golden swords were several times stronger than before. That was because Lin Xian's strength had reached an unimaginable level. In the next moment, Lin Xian waved his arm. Instantly, tens of thousands of golden swords slashed down from the sky. Boom! 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 Each sword was as thick as a mountain and as heavy as Mount Tai as they slashed down on the heavenly Netherbird. Tens of thousands of swords clashed. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions. What? So strong! At this moment, countless cultivators on the sky martial continent looked up and saw the battle through the screen in the sky. When they saw Lin Xian summon 108,000 golden swords to kill the Sky Nether bird, their blood began to boil. Shocking! Too shocking! Originally, they were wondering why Lin Xian was sent out. Among the 7 kings, although Lin Xian was strong, he was too young. He had just condensed his king domain. As for the others, whether it was the Morong ancestor, the Shen family ancestor, or the other kings, they were all famous kings. They had been in the king realm for hundreds of years. Logically speaking, the chances of victory would be higher if these old kings were sent out. However, now that Lin Xian had made his move, they understood. Powerful. He was simply too powerful. Lin Xian's methods had exceeded all of their imaginations. In the sky, countless golden swords turned into golden dragons that roared as they flew forward. They instantly enveloped the heavenly Netherbird. This was an extremely terrifying scene. 108,000 golden swords connected the heavens and the earth as they slashed down in all directions. The terrifying aura shattered the entire sky. The heavenly Netherbird roared, "Ant, you're courting death!" Then black flames surged all over his body as he counterattacked. The heavenly Netherbird waved its black claws and wings and quickly counterattacked. Bam, bam, bam. Black claws smashed the golden swords into pieces. Then the heavenly Netherbird flapped its wings and charged towards Lin Xian with its huge body. This was a very terrifying scene. Amidst the rain of swords that filled the sky, a huge body was rampaging. Every time they collided, there would be an earth-shattering explosion, blasting open one black hole after another in the void. On the martial heaven continent, the martial artists who saw this scene through their screens all shuddered, their scalps turning numb. Frightening, this was too frightening. Although they were not at the scene, they could feel the shocking power of the energy just from the image. Sword chi filled with terrifying killing intent swept across the heavens and earth. The heavenly underworld bird unleashed boundless black flames that ignited the golden swords. Not to mention the ordinary warriors. Even the 5 kings behind Lin Xian felt their eyelids twitching in disbelief. The reason for that was because that sort of attack had already surpassed what they could endure. Any one of the sword chi could severely injure them. However, such a terrifying attack could not do anything to the heavenly Netherbird. To be honest, the heavenly Netherbird was also shocked because the sword chi was a great threat to her. This was too unbelievable. Even if her opponent had fused with the power of 5 kings, he was only at the early stage of 2 stars. However, his combat strength had already surpassed that. He couldn't help but be shocked. "Kid, go and die." The heavenly Netherbird roared as it soared through the sky. Its huge wings were like black heavenly blades that directly shattered countless golden swords. It was like a black, demonic mountain that wanted to crush Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was wielding the dragon-shaped sword in his hand. He slashed out one shocking sword aura after another. The sword chi was too terrifying. The shocking power caused the sky to tremble. Even though the heavenly Netherbird was a demonic beast with a strong body, it could not withstand it. "Ah, go and die." The heavenly Netherbird roared as the 9 underworld demonic flames burned around it. It turned into countless demonic shadows that quickly pounced forward. These demonic shadows looked similar to the heavenly Netherbird, but they were much smaller. However, there were too many of them. There were more than 10,000 of them. The entire sky was dyed black as if it was a dark cloud. Roar, roar, roar. Countless demonic shadows roared furiously. Carrying a terrifying aura and surging murderous aura, they quickly charged towards Lin Xian. They were like a black flood that intertwined in the sky and emitted a terrifying energy fluctuation. If this energy fluctuation hit him, even if Lin Xian had fused with the power of 5 kings, he would not be able to withstand it. "Kill!" Seeing the demonic shadows getting closer, Lin Xian roared as his black hair fluttered in the wind. Terrifying sword chi swept across the sky. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand turned into a killing sword. Together with the dragon sword realm, it slashed forward. Pung, pung, pung. The sword chi was like a rainbow as it flew across the sky one after another. It was endless like a long river. The sword chi had fused with the power of the great dragon sword soul and was extremely strong. It slashed at the countless demonic shadows and tore them apart. Suddenly, a huge crack was torn open in the dark sky. It was at least 10,000 meters wide and was extremely terrifying. Countless rays of light shone in from the crack. Then, Lin Xian clenched his other hand into a fist and punched out. The terrifying fist swept across the sky and shattered the black light barrier. Explode! More than 10,000 demonic shadows were torn apart at this moment. The sky regained its clarity. However, in the next moment, the heavenly Netherbird had already arrived beside Lin Xian. Its huge claws were like demonic claws as they viciously clawed at Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He did not resist at all. He quickly retreated with the dragon-shaped sword. He turned into a green afterimage and instantly disappeared into the void. Boom! A pitch-black hole appeared where he was originally standing. Countless spatial cracks spread out in all directions. Let's see how many times you can dodge. The heavenly Netherbird's expression was cold as its attack missed. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon could no longer watch and finally made its move. With a furious roar, a terrifying dragon roar pierced through the 9 heavens, causing the entire sky to tremble. Then his body emitted an incomparably bright light, and the endless red light dyed the entire sky red. Stupid bird, Ben Huang will beat you up today. The Crimson Dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws in anger. Just you? A 4-legged snake? You overestimate yourself. The heavenly Netherbird snorted in disdain. It was now a late-stage 2-star king. It was unparalleled, and no one in the entire continent could surpass it. Therefore, it was not afraid of the Crimson Dragon at all. However, the Crimson Dragon was infuriated. Damn you! You're the 4-legged snake. I'll tear your mouth apart today. Then its body suddenly expanded and turned into a 100-foot-long divine dragon that circled in the sky. With a roar, it shook the 9 heavens. Endless clouds gathered under its feet. Legends said that divine dragons could ride the clouds and summon the rain. It seemed like it was true. Dragon race. The heavenly Netherbird was shocked once again. Chapter 1487. Dragon Race. The heavenly Netherbird was shocked once again. He did not expect the 4-legged snake in front of him to be a dragon race member. Furthermore, he was probably not an ordinary dragon race member. He did not notice it before, but now it seemed that the heavenly Netherbird's bloodline aura had a monstrous pressure that made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Damn it, so what if you're a dragon race member? You haven't grown up yet. You're not as strong as me. Today, I'll drink your dragon blood, eat your flesh, skin you, and make a pair of dragon shoes. The heavenly Netherbird sneered as his eyes shone with a terrifying light. Indeed, every part of a divine dragon's body was a treasure. If he ate it, his bloodline might evolve once again. Perhaps one day he would become a true great Xia dragonfinch. Therefore, in the next moment, he decisively abandoned Lin Xian and charged towards the Crimson Dragon. Rizalong, watch out! Seeing this, Lin Xian's face darkened. Although the Crimson Dragon was once extremely powerful, its current strength was not enough to fight against the heavenly Netherbird. Therefore, he was extremely worried. However, the Crimson Dragon let out a long roar and spat out 3 clouds of blood mist that wrapped around his body. Damn you, big black bird. Ben Huang will use up his origin energy to kill you today. The 3 mouthfuls that he spat out were all dragon blood, which was extremely precious. At this moment, the blood mist that wrapped around his body suddenly underwent a terrifying change. A powerful force surged out of the Crimson Dragon's body and swept across the heavens and earth. On its huge body, the dragon scales shone and emitted a red light. It was like a red flame that was extraordinarily mighty. I'll fight. In the next moment, the Crimson Dragon's strength had reached that of a 2-star king. Therefore, he swung his huge dragon tail and whipped it forward. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out as the entire void exploded. Dozens of black holes flickered. The heavenly Netherbird's huge body was blasted away and smashed into countless mountains in the distance. What? So powerful! The 5 kings behind Lin Xian were all stunned. They didn't expect the Crimson Dragon to have such power. On the martial heaven continent, countless martial artists raised their heads to look at this scene. They were dumbstruck. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They never thought that the heavenly Netherbird would be sent flying. That was the heavenly Netherbird. It was an extremely terrifying existence, an existence that could suppress the 7 great kings. Yet now he was actually sent flying by a single slap. Even Lin Xian was stunned. He didn't expect the Crimson Dragon to be so powerful. However, he also knew that the Crimson Dragon had used some kind of secret technique to increase its combat strength. The side effects were probably not small. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited until now to use it. The Crimson Dragon also sneered, "Humph, you dare to be arrogant in front of Ben Huang? I'll slap you to death." Pum! In the distance, a mountain peak exploded. The heavenly Netherbird crawled out from the ruins and roared angrily at the sky. To be honest, he was about to go crazy. As a late-stage 2-star king, his strength was extremely terrifying. But now he was actually sent flying in front of everyone. He couldn't accept this, so in the next moment he roared, "Damn snake, I'll kill you later!" Then, the heavenly Netherbird held the 9 Netherworld demonic sword and charged over with a terrifying black flame domain. This time, Lin Xian sent a message, "Ruzalong, let's attack together!" Lin Xian activated countless sword qi, and the Crimson Dragon also displayed a terrifying power as they charged towards the heavenly Netherbird. Instantly, the 3 of them started fighting. Behind them, the 5 kings quickly transmitted their power as they nervously watched the battle. They were extremely nervous because this was their last resort. If they failed again, they would have no way out and the martial heaven continent would become hell on earth. The only thing they could do was to provide power to Lin Xian. Boom! In front of them, the battle was intense. The heavenly Netherbirds aura soared into the sky as he displayed extremely powerful flames, and the 9 Netherworld demonic sword swept in all directions. He was fighting Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon alone. It could be said that he was extremely powerful. The Crimson Dragon became more and more shocked as he fought. He gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, this guy is too strong. My secret technique won't last for long. I'm afraid it will disappear soon." Lin Xian's expression was also serious because his secret technique wouldn't last for long either. But the heavenly Netherbird was different. The heavenly Netherbird was a true late-stage 2-star king, and he was extremely powerful. If their secret technique's time ran out, it would be very difficult to injure him. So in the next moment, he decided to kill him at all costs. Holding the dragon-shaped sword in his hand, Lin Xian flew out like a shooting star. He and his sword became one as he pierced towards the heavenly Netherbbird's huge body. "You're courting death!" The heavenly Netherbird roared. He didn't expect that his opponent would dare to fight him in close combat. This made him furious, so in the next moment he slammed his claw forward. But soon he screamed. Puff! In the sky, blood splattered as a scream rang out. Because the heavenly Netherbird's huge hand had been pierced through by Lin Xian, and a transparent hole appeared. Blood splattered in all directions. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was holding the dragon-shaped sword in his hand and wearing the cosmic armor. He was extremely powerful. After piercing through the heavenly Netherbird's claw, he didn't stop and continued to stab towards the huge body. Scram! The heavenly Netherbird was finally angry. He didn't expect an ant-like human to be able to injure him. This made him furious. In the next moment, the black flame domain around him quickly burned and enveloped Lin Xian, wanting to burn him to ashes. Lin Xian's body also surged with black flames to resist. However, the heavenly Netherbird's black flame domain was too terrifying, and Lin Xian couldn't hold on for long. So not long after he entered, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Although he was severely injured, Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. In the next moment, he also used the dragon sword domain. Pum! The green dragon sword domain appeared around him. He was now in the heavenly Netherbird's black flame domain, and the heavenly Netherbird was also in his dragon sword domain. Now, it was time to see whose domain was stronger and whose endurance was stronger. In the next moment, the heavenly Netherbird screamed again. Blood splattered everywhere. It couldn't be helped. The dragon sword domain was too powerful. This domain was transformed by the dragon sword soul, and it was an offensive saint technique. Although the heavenly Netherbird's body was extremely strong, it was still injured by the dragon sword domain. His huge body was instantly pierced by countless sword chis, and transparent bloody holes appeared one after another. "Brat, I'll kill you." The heavenly Netherbird's eyes were filled with anger. He didn't expect his opponent to trade his life for his. He had never seen such a desperate method before. Everyone else was also shocked. Whether it was the 5 kings behind him, the Crimson Dragon, or all the martial artists in the Tianwu continent. At this moment, they were all shocked. Chapter 1488. Looking at this scene, they were all shocked. Lin Xian was using a method where both sides were heavily injured to fight the Sky Netherbird head-on. This was simply too shocking. The Sky Netherbird flapped its black wings as flames covered its body. At the same time, it used its black flame domain to attack Lin Xian. It wanted to shatter the dragon's sword domain. In its mind, a high-level king should be able to easily shatter a low-level king's domain and heavily injure them. However, Lin Xian's dragon sword domain was different. It was formed by the dragon's sword soul. So how could the Sky Netherbird shatter it? Thus, after struggling for a while, not only did the Sky Netherbird fail to shatter the dragon's sword domain, but more and more sword wounds appeared on its body. His body was dyed red by the terrifying fresh blood. Damn it! How is this possible? How is this possible? The Sky Netherbird was shocked as it roared. He didn't believe that a brat who was only a 1-star king realm could have such a powerful domain. It had to be known that it was a late-stage 2-star king, and it could easily shatter a normal 1-star king's domain. However, it couldn't do it now. Ah, damn it! I don't believe it. The Sky Netherbird roared as it attacked again. Lin Xian also had to grit his teeth and endure because he wasn't having a good time either. The Sky Netherbird's black flame domain was too terrifying, and its level was higher than his. Even with the cosmic battle armor, he couldn't withstand it. However, she couldn't resist it either. Her entire body was now heavily injured. It probably wouldn't be able to last much longer. However, he didn't want to give up on this rare opportunity. After all, the longer the battle dragged on, the more heavily the Sky Netherbird would be injured. Moreover, he had the golden, indestructible pill, which could quickly recover. Thus, Lin Xian gritted his teeth and endured. He only used a small portion of the dragon-shaped sword chi to protect himself. The rest of the sword chi was used to attack the Sky Netherbird. Damn it! The Sky Netherbbird's face twisted as it flapped its black wings and quickly retreated. However, Lin Xian also moved and stuck close to it. "Brat, you're courting death." The Sky Netherbird was furious as it used the black flame domain's power to quickly defend. The green sword chi was too terrifying. Even with its body constitution, it couldn't withstand it. Therefore, he could only rely on the power of his domain. Those cold, pitch-black eyes stared fixedly at Lin Xian. "Kid, you're not as strong as me. If this goes on, you'll definitely be the first to fall. If you have the ability, then let's fight." The heavenly Netherbird also gritted its teeth and crazily attacked Lin Xian. Pung! Finally, the two of them separated. An earth-shattering sound rang out as terrifying blood dyed the sky red. 2 figures were also sent flying. Among them, the heavenly Netherbird's huge body smashed into the ground, creating a deep hole. Lin Xian's figure was also sent flying backwards, crashing into 9 mountain peaks in the distance. At this moment, both of them had suffered severe internal injuries. For a moment, the entire place was silent. The expressions of the Crimson Dragon and the other kings changed drastically. They were very worried about Lin Xian's safety. It wasn't just them. Everyone in the martial heaven continent was extremely nervous. This was because they could see that Lin Xian's situation wasn't good. One had to know that the heavenly Netherbird's attack was extremely terrifying. It was likely that Lin Xian wouldn't be able to block it. "Kid, are you all right?" The Crimson Dragon's figure floated and quickly arrived above the ruins. With a wave of its dragon claws, countless boulders fell, revealing Lin Xian's voice. At this moment, Lin Xian's galactic armor was already deformed. One had to know that this was an extremely powerful armor. Now that it was damaged, one could imagine how powerful the Heavenly Netherbird's attack was. As for Lin Xian, he had suffered severe internal injuries. If it wasn't for his strong physique and vigorous blood qi, he would have already died. Even so, he couldn't hold on. However, he quickly used his soul power to take out a golden pill and quickly consumed it. This was the undying golden pill. Lin Xian had quite a few of them. Although this undying golden pill was precious, he couldn't care less about it and quickly consumed it. In an instant, more than half of his injuries were healed. If it was anyone else, they would have instantly recovered after consuming the undying golden pill. However, this was a battle between kings. The terrifying attacks had already surpassed the effects of the undying golden pill. Although the undying golden pill was powerful, it was only effective against cultivators below the king realm. Its effect on king realm cultivators was greatly reduced. Even so, Lin Xian's injuries were still quickly recovering. After regaining his ability to move, Lin Xian quickly circulated the art of immortality. Instantly, a huge whirlpool appeared beside him and quickly absorbed the surrounding spiritual qi to heal his injuries. The art of immortality was extremely mysterious. As Lin Xian grew stronger, the might of the art of immortality would also increase. The injuries on his body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lin Xian took out another 5 undying golden pills and gave them to the Crimson Dragon. Because the Crimson Dragon had also used a secret technique, it would definitely be weakened after a while. Therefore, he took out 5 undying golden pills in case of an emergency. On the other side, the Heavenly Netherbird crawled out of the deep pit. Its body was covered in wounds and blood was flowing out of it. It was furious. It was simply too furious. It didn't expect that a human brat would be able to injure it so severely. If it hadn't experienced it personally, it wouldn't have believed it. Not only that, but it also felt a trace of fear in its heart. That was because its opponent's domain was simply too terrifying. It couldn't even resist it. Damn it, how is this possible? What kind of domain is that? How can it be so strong? If it had suffered such heavy injuries at the hands of a 3-star king, it wouldn't be surprised at all. But now its opponent's cultivation was clearly inferior to it, but its combat strength made it shudder. Damned brat, you only used a secret technique. Let's see how long you can last. The Heavenly Netherbird gritted its teeth and charged over with the black flame domain. Instantly, the battle started again. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths, because the Heavenly Netherbird was right. Lin Xian wouldn't be able to last long in his current state. Soon, they separated for the second time. This time, Lin Xian's injuries were even more severe. Although he had taken many undying golden pills, he still couldn't fully recover. Moreover, the Heavenly Netherbird's injuries weren't light either. There were even some places where its bones could be seen. However, it still charged over because it was competing with Lin Xian in terms of stamina. It firmly believed that with its cultivation as a late 2-star king, it could definitely exhaust its opponent to death. No, it couldn't go on like this. The Crimson Dragon had already recovered to a 1-star king after a few battles. Not only that, but it had also suffered a severe backlash and was extremely weak. Luckily, it had the undying golden pills to slow down its symptoms. However, it probably wouldn't be able to last much longer. Ha 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 ha. Brat, aren't you very strong? Fight again. Let's see how you're going to dodge this time. Seeing this, the Heavenly Netherbird finally laughed. Chapter 1489. Ha 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 ha. Kid, aren't you very powerful? Fight again. Let's see how you're going to dodge this time." Seeing this, the heavenly nether bird finally laughed. That was because the crimson dragon had been beaten back to its original state, and Lin Xian had also fallen to the level of a one-star king. The 5 kings behind Lin Xian were pale. They had used up too much energy and couldn't hold on for so long. It could be said that Lin Xian's group of 7 were in trouble again. Seeing this, Lin Xian's group of 7 had heavy hearts. On the Tianwu continent, everyone else was in despair. It couldn't be helped. It looked like Lin Xian's group of 7 would be killed soon. At that time, who would be able to stop the heavenly nether bird? Lin Xian, old ancestor, young master. At this moment, countless martial artists from the House of Kings were shouting crazily. Their eyes were filled with despair. In the palace of gods of war, the 9th elder and the others were pale and trembling. They didn't expect things to turn out like this. Even with Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's secret techniques, they couldn't do anything to the heavenly nether bird. Could it be that the heavenly nether bird was so terrifying? And from the looks of it, Lin Xian's group wouldn't be able to hold on for long. They would probably be killed soon. However, just as they were in despair, in the Palace of Gods of War's Thousand Spirit Valley, suddenly a pillar of light shot up into the sky. Then a figure appeared in the sky like a shooting star. It was a blurry figure of light. Its entire body was emitting a resplendent light, like a sun. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked around. Then he frowned and turned into a rainbow, disappearing into the horizon. Palace Master. That's the Palace Master. The 9th Elder and the other martial artists from the Palace of Gods of War all shouted crazily when they saw this. They realized that it was Lin Zhan's figure. Lin Zhan is out. This was undoubtedly great news, and from the looks of it, he should be heading to the battlefield. Hopefully, Lin Xian and the other 6 kings would be able to hold on until then. The news of Lin Zhan coming out of seclusion was only known to the martial artists in the Palace of Ares. The other members of the House of Kings, as well as the martial artists of the Martial Heaven continent, had no idea. As for Lin Xian and the others, they were even more clueless. Lin Xian and the others were in a perilous situation, but they obviously wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Thus, they gritted their teeth and activated the secret technique a second time. This time, its power had decreased compared to the first time, but it was still incomparably powerful, enough to last for a while. Humph, I'll let you all die with no regrets. The heavenly netherbird sneered and pounced again. An earth-shattering battle erupted. Countless rays of light surged, and terrifying energy spread out in all directions. The entire forest had been completely destroyed. There was not a single place within a radius of 10,000 miles that remained intact. Terrifying cracks had appeared in space, spreading out in all directions. However, the outcome was the same. The heavenly netherbirds' injuries became even more severe. Deep white bones appeared in many places, extremely horrifying. However, Lin Xian and the others were in an even worse situation. None of them had any fighting strength left, and the few kings had fallen to the ground. They could only grit their teeth and look at the heavenly netherbird with killing intent in their eyes. As for Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, they once again used their remaining strength to counterattack. Die. The heavenly netherbird sneered and waved its huge beast claws. With shocking power, it viciously slammed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian raised his sword to block and counterattack. However, his current strength couldn't be compared to before. Just as the claw was about to land, however, at this moment, a white figure suddenly flew out from Lin Xian's body and charged towards the heavenly netherbird. Whoosh! A white light flew out from Lin Xian's body and pounced towards the heavenly netherbird. This light was very fast, and it arrived in front of the heavenly netherbird in an instant. The heavenly netherbird didn't even see it clearly before it felt a blow on its head. This blow didn't hurt, and it didn't cause any harm to it. It could even ignore it. However, it was stunned by the next blow. It was truly stunned. This was because it realized that it couldn't control its body. It was frozen in place for 3 seconds. Not only his body, but even his soul had gone blank during those 3 seconds. The incomparably frightening claw abruptly stopped in midair. Lin Xian took this opportunity to quickly retreat to a safe place. Whoosh! In the next moment, the white light flashed again and turned into a snow-white monkey. It kept waving its claws. After 3 seconds, the heavenly netherbird regained its senses. It then stared at the snow-white monkey and became furious. Humiliation, a huge humiliation. To think that the heavenly netherbird, a peerless monster, was stunned by a little monkey. If this were to spread, people would laugh their heads off. However, it really happened. Ah, damned monkey! I'm going to kill you. The heavenly netherbird roared crazily, and its terrifying claws enveloped the snow-white monkey once again. However, the snow-white monkey's speed exceeded its expectations. It turned into white lightning and moved quickly. In an instant, it dodged all of the heavenly netherbird's attacks. What? Everyone was stunned. They didn't think that the monkey beside Lin Xian would be so miraculous. It could dodge all of the heavenly netherbird's attacks. One had to know that this was something that even the 7 kings couldn't do. During this time, the heavenly netherbird was hit by the snow-white monkey's claws again and froze in midair for another 3 seconds. After recovering, the heavenly netherbird roared at the sky. Boundless black flames danced on its body and quickly covered the surroundings. In an instant, everything within 100 miles was turned into a sea of black flames. Damned monkey! Let's see how you're going to run this time. The heavenly netherbird roared angrily. Even a 1-star king wouldn't be able to resist these flames. Indeed, when the heavenly netherbird used its technique, Ancestor Morong and the others gritted their teeth and used their last bit of strength to dodge. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to resist. The snow-white monkey was even faster and disappeared into the horizon. The black flames couldn't hurt it at all. Immediately, the heavenly netherbird roared again. However, it soon revealed a sinister smile. This was because it no longer cared about the snow-white monkey. Instead, it focused on Lin Xian and the others. This was because it knew that if it attacked Lin Xian, that damned monkey would definitely attack it. At that time, it would capture it. Indeed, in the next moment, when the heavenly netherbird clawed at Lin Xian and the others again, the snow-white monkey charged at it again, wanting to knock it out. However, the heavenly netherbird was prepared this time. It immediately activated the black flame domain. Its huge body was completely covered by the boundless black flames. The black flames burned and released a terrifying power. It made the space around it seem like it had turned into hell. It was eerie and terrifying. The timing was too good. The snow-white monkey couldn't dodge at all. Whoosh! In the next moment, the snow-white monkey's body was also covered by the black flame domain. Chapter 1490. Wu Ji, the little white monkey cried out anxiously. Lin Xian was also very nervous, but he soon let out a sigh of relief. Although the little white monkey was enveloped by the black flame domain, it was not burned. A white light appeared on its body and resisted the black flames. However, although the little monkey was not burned by the black flames, the boundless domain of black flames enveloped it. It was like a small fish that had entered a swamp, swimming very slowly. As long as the heavenly netherbird attacked, it could easily catch it, and that was exactly what the heavenly netherbird did. Not good. Seeing this, Lin Xian's face darkened. He then roared, and the great dragon sword soul in his body started to circulate. He had to use his last bit of strength to save the little white monkey. In the next moment, he turned into a ray of sword light and rushed forward. Pum! A thunderous sound rang out. Then the heavenly netherbird's huge body turned into a meteor and slammed into a mountain range in the distance. Rumble, rumble, rumble. This time, It smashed through more than a dozen mountain ranges before it finally stopped. With a whoosh, the little white monkey turned into a streak of white light and returned to Lin Xian's side. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. The Crimson Dragon screamed, "Kid, where did you get this strength? Is it another secret technique?" Ancestor Morong and the others were also shocked. However, Lin Xian was even more shocked, because he did not even attack. He did not even attack, and the heavenly Netherbird was sent flying like a cannonball. He thought that it was the Crimson God who moved his hand, but now it seemed that was not the case. "Who is it?" He was very confused. "It's not you?" The Crimson Dragon and the others also noticed this and were very surprised. Soon, these kings swept through the surroundings, wanting to find out who had done it. Even the people on the Tianwu continent were silent. Found it. Lin Xian was shocked. He saw a ray of light landing in front of him. It was a human figure with an imposing figure. His entire body was emitting resplendent light like a sun. He quickly landed on the ground, causing the entire ground to tremble. That terrifying power was like a god of war. Who is this? Could there be other kings? Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian also frowned. However, when the figure turned around, Lin Xian was stunned. His heart almost jumped out of his chest. That face was too familiar to him, so familiar that he found it hard to believe. Behind him, Ancestor Morong, the Merry King, and the rest screamed, "Lin Zhan, it's you!" That's right. This figure was Lin Zhan. He was like a god of war, emitting a powerful aura. With a wave of his hand, several pills flew toward Ancestor Morong, the Happy King, Ruzelong, and the others. "You've all worked hard. Hurry up and take this pill. Although I can't heal your injuries instantly, I can at least prevent your body from deteriorating." Hearing this, Ancestor Morong and the others swallowed the pill. The Crimson Dragon was also shocked. Could this be Xiao Xuanzi's father? He looked around curiously and sized up the figure in front of him. However, in the next moment, he frowned and revealed a shocked expression. This was because he had discovered something inconceivable. Lin Xian was too shocked. He didn't expect that the person who appeared at the last moment would be his father. Therefore, in the next moment, he ran up excitedly and asked quickly, "Father, is it really you? When did you come out?" Ancestor Morong, the Happy King, and the others behind him were also shocked. They didn't know much about Lin Zhan. They only knew that he had entered the king realm at a young age. Moreover, he was very mysterious and didn't interact with them often. He even went into seclusion as soon as he became the palace master of the Palace of Gods of War. Although he was the palace master of the Palace of Gods of War, they didn't pay much attention to him. That was because, in their opinion, he was at most at the same level as them. Or rather, he was inferior. However, it seemed that they were completely wrong. That move just now had sent the heavenly Netherbird flying. After all, that was the heavenly Netherbird, a late two-star king, an incomparably terrifying existence. However, Lin Zhan had easily sent the heavenly Netherbird flying. What level has his strength reached? How terrifying! I can't see through his cultivation at all. Ancestor Morong, the Happy King, and the others were shocked. At this moment, Lin Zhan looked at Lin Xian and said slowly, "I haven't come out yet. This is only one of my clones. I just woke up from my secluded cultivation and wanted to know about the heavenly Netherbird. Therefore, I sent a clone to help you." "What? A clone?" Ancestor Morong, the Shen family, and the others opened their eyes wide in disbelief. The Crimson Dragon frowned. "As expected, it's just as I guessed. This is only a clone." He had noticed that something was amiss. Therefore, he had used a secret technique to check. In the end, he discovered that it was only a body of energy and didn't have any life. This made him extremely shocked. Now that he heard it from Lin Zhan, he was even more shocked. Lin Xian was also extremely shocked. A clone could send the heavenly Netherbird flying? What level of cultivation has my father reached? seeing the confusion in the eyes of Lin Xian and the others. Lin Zhan shook his head. Now's not the time to talk about this. You can ask me any questions after we kill the heavenly netherbird. Yes, that's right. Our main goal now is to kill the heavenly netherbird. The Crimson Dragon said quickly. Father, can you defeat him? Lin Xian asked. It's hard to say. If it was my real body, it wouldn't be a problem. However, my real body can't move at all. I can only send this clone. Lin Zhan sighed. He must have reached a critical stage in his cultivation. Bam! At this moment, the heavenly netherbird flew over from afar. It was about to go crazy from anger. It was extremely ferocious and had a murderous aura. It was furious. It was too furious. It was sent flying again. What was worse was that it didn't even see who it was. Were you the one who attacked just now? The heavenly netherbird flew back again. It looked at the flickering figure and asked coldly, Not only did I send you flying, but I'm also here to kill you. Lin Zhan's voice was sonorous. Although it was just a clone, he still displayed a valiant attitude. Kill me? What shameless boasting! The heavenly netherbird laughed coldly. Today, I'll tear you into pieces and let you know the consequences of provoking me. As it spoke, it brought the dark flame realm and charged over. Lin Zhan waved his hand and stuffed a pile of spiritual medicine into Lin Xian's arms. Then he said in a low voice, Recover quickly. I'll deal with it. Father, be careful. Lin Xian took the spiritual medicine and quickly retreated. What he needed to do now was to recover his strength quickly. He wasn't the only one. The Crimson Dragon, Ancestor Morong, the Happy King, and the others also used the time to recover their strength. In an instant, everyone retreated to a safe distance. Only Lin Zhan and the heavenly netherbird were left. Chapter 1491. Who's that figure? That's the palace master of the Palace of Gods of War. At this moment, all the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were looking at the sky nervously. They were too excited because Lin Zhan had sent the heavenly serene bird flying the moment he appeared. Needless to say, he was extremely powerful. He might even be able to kill the heavenly serene bird. This caused a glimmer of hope to rise in the hearts of the despairing crowd. In the sky, Lin Zhan stood with his hands behind his back and looked forward. Since you've been sealed, you shouldn't have appeared. Since you've appeared, I'll have to kill you. Humph. You're overestimating yourself. You're just a clone. How dare you talk big in front of me? The heavenly serene bird sneered. I can kill someone like you with a slap. After I kill you, I'll find your real body and tear it apart. This is what you get for provoking me. Since you don't know how to repent, I'll have to kill you. Lin Zhan stood in the sky with his back straight. His body was glowing brightly. Although he was just a clone, he had an unparalleled aura. He was like a god of war as he walked towards the heavenly serene bird. Boom! As he took a step forward, heaven and earth shook. A black hole appeared in the sky. This step was too terrifying. It was as heavy as a mountain as it stepped on the sky. His terrifying aura made people tremble. If they didn't know the real situation, no one would have thought that such a powerful figure was just a clone. Kill! Lin Zhan shouted coldly and attacked quickly. His fist was like a golden mountain as it flew towards the heavenly serene bird. You're courting death. The heavenly serene bird shouted furiously. Black flames danced around his body, and his cold eyes were filled with killing intent. He held the 9-nether demonic sword tightly in his black claws and slashed down quickly with a monstrous killing aura. Boom! Boom! The two attacks collided in the sky, and a terrifying energy exploded. This attack was too terrifying. The entire sky collapsed. The violent energy was like a vast ocean as it rushed towards Lin Zhan. Lin Zhan didn't attack again after throwing out a punch. He was like a dragon as he moved quickly in the sky. His figure was like a flickering shadow as he quickly dodged one terrifying sword chi after another. At the same time, his fist fiercely punched towards the heavenly netherbird. Clang! The sound of metal clashing rang out, making one's scalp go numb. Ling Zhan's fist landed heavily on the 9 underworld demonic sword. Instantly, the space around the 9 serenities demon sword shattered. You dare to fight me in close combat? You are courting death. The heavenly netherbird sneered as the flames on its body surged. On the 9 netherworld demonic sword, countless pitch-black flames quickly rolled and wrapped around Lin Xian's fist, wanting to burn it. However, in the next moment, his pupils abruptly shrank because he discovered that he had failed. Lin Zhan's fist emitted a dazzling golden light, blocking the terrifying black flames. Otherwise, the golden light became more and more powerful. It was like a sun, erupting with incomparable energy. Pum! In the next moment, a primordial power surged out of his fist and fiercely slammed into the 9 underworld demon sword. Immediately, the heavenly netherbird let out a miserable shriek as it was sent flying by the huge force. Ah, damn it! I don't believe it. The heavenly netherbird roared as its body flew backwards. It didn't believe that Lin Zhan was strong enough to suppress it. After all, that was just a clone. This made it crazy. At the same time, there was a tinge of fear in its heart. What cultivation level had Lin Zhan's real body reached? How could it be more terrifying than it was? I am just a clone. I don't have much time. Therefore, I can only kill you as soon as possible. Lin Zhan muttered to himself. Then his body flashed, and he charged towards the heavenly netherbird like a shooting star. Very quickly, he arrived beside the heavenly netherbird and stretched out his terrifying palm once again. Damn it! Get lost! The heavenly netherbird's pupils shrank as it flapped its wings. Its body started to spin rapidly like a black gale. Its wings were simply too sharp. As it spun, countless cracks appeared in the space around it. One could imagine that even a 1-star king would be sliced in half if they were hit by the wings. However, such a terrifying flame had no effect on Lin Zhan. Lin Zhan's huge palm grabbed the heavenly netherbird and slammed it downwards. Pum! The heavenly netherbird's huge body crashed into the ground once again, causing the ground to crack. Ah, I'm going to kill you. The heavenly netherbird was furious. It had never been beaten up like this before. However, in the next moment, it was welcomed by a huge foot. Lin Zhan's body was like a huge mountain as he descended rapidly. At the same time, his foot stomped on the heavenly netherbird. Roar! Tian was especially furious. He waved the 9 underworld demonic sword and slashed forward rapidly. The 9 underworld demonic sword shone with a black light. As it was waved, it emitted a terrifying sound. Whoosh! Lin Zhan's body moved horizontally in the air and dodged the sword. Then he kicked out and landed on the sword. Instantly, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The huge, black, demonic sword started to vibrate rapidly, and the space around it started to crack. However, although the 9 underworld demonic sword was kicked away, there were no cracks on it. No one knew what material this demonic sword was made of, but its toughness was beyond everyone's expectations. Damn it! This 9 underworld demonic sword can't be a perfect Earth-grade artifact, right? Even the Crimson Dragon's eyelids were twitching. As for the other kings, including Lin Xian, they were all shocked. They realized that Lin Zhan was simply too powerful. He was practically beating the heavenly netherbird. What cultivation level has Father reached? A clone is actually able to suppress the heavenly netherbird. Lin Xian was too shocked. He realized that although he knew some things, he still couldn't see it clearly. His father seemed to be endlessly mysterious, and he couldn't see through him at all. In front of them, golden light flashed. A terrifying power shook the void. Sword chi swept across, and boundless black flames spread. Everyone was shocked. At this moment, it wasn't just Lin Xian's group of 7 that were shocked. Even the other martial artists in the Tianwu continent were shocked. Originally, they were already in despair. Lin Xian's group of 7 kings, including thousands of supremacies, couldn't defeat the heavenly Netherbird at all. In fact, such a huge group was only left with Lin Xian's group of 7 in the end. They thought that Lin Xian's group wouldn't be able to stop the heavenly Netherbird. Then the Tianwu continent would be plunged into a massacre, and none of them would be able to escape. However, at this moment of despair, another figure appeared out of nowhere, and now he was even beating the heavenly Netherbird. This made them extremely excited. Boom! 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 Lin Zhan and the heavenly Netherbird fought fiercely. However, the situation was one-sided. The heavenly Netherbird was completely suppressed this time. He couldn't resist at all. Instead, he was injured multiple times, and many of his bones were even broken. That was because the opponent's strength was too terrifying. Even with his strong physique, he couldn't resist. Chapter 1492. Luckily, the 9 underworld demonic sword was extremely mysterious and had an extraordinary origin. Otherwise, it would have been shattered into countless pieces by this power. After sending the heavenly Netherbird flying with another punch, Lin Zhan let out a long roar as his entire body emitted a dazzling light. Rays of golden light shot down and swept across the entire sky. Not good, his clone's time is up. Seeing this scene, the Crimson Dragon exclaimed, "His clone's time is up." Lin Xian and the others were also in the past. Although they had suppressed the heavenly Netherbird, they had not obtained complete victory. If Lin Zhan's clone disappeared at this moment, they would not be able to retaliate at all. Lin Zhan's body glowed brightly. He also knew that his clone's time was up, so he prepared to unleash his strongest attack to kill the heavenly Netherbird. The aura on his body rose rapidly. He was like a golden god of war, releasing a terrifying power. That aura seemed to be able to pierce through the entire sky. In the end, his body was completely covered by the golden light. The golden light was tens of thousands of feet long. It was as if countless golden swords were vibrating together. Kill! With a roar, Lin Zhan turned into a ray of golden light and charged towards the heavenly Netherbird. This attack was too sharp, and it carried an incomparable killing intent. Even the heavenly Netherbird felt goosebumps all over its body. It felt a chill in its heart. It knew that this was an extremely terrifying killing move. Therefore, it did not hesitate. With a roar, the black flame domain around him churned rapidly. A huge black shield formed in front of it. 9 underworld demonic sky shield. Endless black flames surrounded it, forming a black ghost head. It was like a shield that blocked in front of it. This was the heavenly Netherbird's ultimate move. It could block all attacks. After using the 9 underworld demonic sky shield, Lin Zhan snorted coldly. Humph! No matter how strong you are, you won't be able to pierce through my shield. He was indeed confident because this shield had saved his life many times in the past. Boom! However, in the next moment, his expression changed drastically. That was because when the golden light collided with the 9 underworld demonic sky shield, there was an earth-shattering tremor. The entire space was quickly torn apart, and the surrounding mountains collapsed. An extremely powerful earthquake occurred within a radius of 10,000 miles. The collision sound was too terrifying. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. However, what shocked the heavenly Netherbird was that cracks had appeared on the 9 underworld demonic sky shield in front of it. It was like a spider web that instantly covered the entire shield. What? It's cracked? That's impossible. The heavenly Netherbird shrieked. This time, there was a trace of fear in its eyes. It realized that Lin Zhan's strength. Boom! In the next moment, the heavenly netherbird's 9 underworld demonic sky shield shards of the underworld demonic sky shield. A beam of golden light flew through the countless fragments at high speed, fiercely bombarding his head. Underworld heavens, that's... The heavenly netherbird screamed and flapped its wings in an attempt to retreat. However, this golden light was simply too fast. It directly struck the heavenly netherbbird's head. Boom! Netherbird, it Lin, demonic Lin's Lin. S demonic netherbird, blood Lin. It blood it, it. As for the golden light, it carried Lin Zhan's clone and quickly dimmed. In the end, it disappeared. In the air, there was only a mist of blood and a huge, headless corpse. The surroundings fell into silence. Looking at this scene, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to be killed. At this moment, it wasn't just Lin Xian's group of 7. The entire Martial Heaven continent was shocked. What? Was he killed? One fatal strike. Heavens, am I dreaming? Ancestor Morong, the Happy King, and the ancestor of the Shen family couldn't believe it. On the Tianwu continent, after the martial artists recovered from their shock, they all began to celebrate. We're saved. Haha, we're saved. The heavenly netherbird is dead. This is great. We won't be in danger anymore. Palace of Gods of War, the palace master of the Palace of Gods of War, killed the heavenly netherbird. The entire sky martial continent was in an uproar. The House of Kings, the rank 6X, and the other forces all breathed a sigh of relief. Now that the heaven netherbird was dead, the martial heaven continent's crisis had been resolved. We've won, we've really won. In the Murong family, a smile appeared on Murong Qingqing's beautiful face once again. Great, brother Lin Xian is fine. In the Shen family, Xin Jingqiu also waved her fists. The palace master has succeeded. In the Palace of Gods of War, the 9th elder and the others also cheered. At this moment, the entire Tianwu continent was in an uproar. Countless martial artists were shouting crazily. Everyone felt as though they had survived a disaster. On the other side, Lin Xian's group of 7 also heaved a sigh of relief. It was too dangerous. I've never encountered such a dangerous situation in my life. Ancestor Morong sighed. That's right. The heavenly netherbird is too terrifying. I've never seen it before. The ancestor of the Xin family was also shocked. The Happy King was shocked. What level has Lin Zhan reached? Just a clone is already so terrifying. Thinking of this, the king's hearts beat wildly. As for Ruzalong, he shouted, Ben Huang was scared to death. It feels good to be alive. Lin Xian also smiled. Let's go. The war is over. We can finally go home. Din Xian also said with a smile. The group turned around and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded from behind them. A bunch of ants. Do you really think that you can kill me like this? Hearing this voice, Lin Xian's group of 7 froze. All the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were also stunned. Everyone felt as though a pair of invisible hands were choking their necks. The wild cries also stopped abruptly. What? Why am I hearing the heavenly netherbird's voice again? Impossible, it must be an illusion. The heavenly netherbird's head has already been destroyed. How can it still be alive? All the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were discussing. Impossible. This is definitely impossible. Even if it is a king, it is impossible for it to live after its head has been destroyed. Lin Xian and the rest also turned around and stared at the headless corpse in the sky. Damn it, this is impossible. The heavenly netherbird cannot be alive. The ancestor of the Shen family gritted his teeth and said, A king is also a human, not a god. Without its head, it is impossible for it to come back to life. The Happy King's voice was cold. Ancestor Morong's face darkened. Damn it, the heavenly netherbird is already dead. Why is its corpse still floating in the sky? What? Once this was said, everyone was shocked. They had been too excited and had forgotten. However, it seemed that the heavenly netherbird's huge body was still floating in the sky and had not fallen to the ground. Strange, this was too strange. One must know that even if a king died, it would definitely fall to the ground like a normal person. However, the heavenly netherbird's corpse was still floating in the sky. Chapter 1493. Could it be that he's still alive? Din Xian's voice was trembling. Thinking of this, everyone's scalps went numb and their hearts dropped. Impossible, this is impossible. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Damn it, what's with this uneasy feeling? At this moment, everyone was shocked as they stared at the heavenly netherbird. At this moment, the cold voice rang out again. Haha, a bunch of ignorant ants. Do you really think that I'm that easy to kill? Hearing this voice, everyone's eyes widened and their scalps went numb. They looked ahead and their bodies started to tremble. Everyone was stunned. The heavenly netherbird was already dead. How could it still speak? However, this cold voice clearly belonged to the heavenly netherbird. It even came from the corpse in front of them. Damn it, who is it? Acting all mysterious, get the hell out here. The Shun family's patriarch shouted angrily. Humph, ignorant humans. I can't kill you. The cold voice rang out again. Then, the heavenly netherbird's corpse started to change. The originally cold body started to burn with black flames. What? The heavenly netherbird is still alive. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and the others felt their scalps go numb. All the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were stunned. Still alive? How can it not be dead? Its head is already smashed. How can it still be alive? This had already exceeded everyone's understanding. On the other hand, the heavenly netherbird's corpse started to shine. A ferocious head started to form on its neck. Not good, stop it. The crimson dragon gritted his teeth and roared. Then he turned into a ray of red light and rushed forward. Kill! Lin Xian also rushed forward with a killing sword in his hand. Behind him, the Shen family's ancestor, Murong ancestor, and the other kings also attacked. Boom! 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 Terrifying power surged out and quickly killed the heavenly netherbird. However, their attacks were all blocked. In front of the heavenly netherbird, a black light screen was formed. It was shining brightly. 9 underworlds, Devil's Sky Shield. The demonic shield that was shattered by Lin Xian formed once again and blocked all the attacks from Lin Xian and the others. However, the crowd was still unwilling to give up. They continued to attack crazily, but they were unable to break through the 9 underworlds' Devil's Sky Shield. Behind the demonic shield, the heavenly netherbird's head had already formed. Then, a cold light flashed in its huge eyes. A roar resounded in all directions. Damnable ants! You actually dared to injure me. I won't let any of you off. The heavenly netherbird's mournful voice sounded again. Its cold eyes swept across Lin Xian and the others. Damn it! How did he come back to life? Lin Xian's eyes were cold as he gripped the great dragon sword so tightly. It's his heart. At this moment, the 10,000 beast ding inside Lin Xian's body suddenly sent a voice transmission. Heart. What heart? Do you know? Lin Xian asked quickly. The heavenly netherbird's fatal weakness is its heart. As long as its heart is still alive, it can revive again. It's useless to smash its head. Zero's cold voice sounded. Obviously, as the 10,000 beast ding, he knew everything about the heavenly netherbird. It was his heart. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. They were too careless. They thought that the heavenly netherbird was just like a normal person. They didn't expect it to have such a secret. However, it was too late now. His father's clone had already disappeared. "Kid, what do we do?" the Crimson Dragon asked from the side. Lin Xian took a deep breath. His eyes flashed. Although he has recovered, his strength is definitely below average. "I'm afraid he's only a mid-2-star king. But even if he's a mid-2-star king, we can't beat him." The Crimson Dragon frowned. "Whatever, we can only fight to the death." Lin Xian gritted his teeth. Then he waved his hand and took out the 10,000 beasting. "Ruse along, take them and retreat safely. Don't join the battle," Lin Xian said in a low voice. "If I die, take them and leave." "What did you say?" "Kid, don't do anything stupid." The Crimson Dragon panicked when he heard Lin Xian's words. When the people of Tianwu continent heard this, they were also in an uproar. This was because they realized that Lin Xian wanted to fight alone. This was too shocking. Lin Xian. In the Murong family, Murong Qingqing's heart was beating wildly. His face was very serious. In the Xin family, Xin Jingqiu also shouted, "Brother Lin Xian, don't!" In the Palace of Gods of War, the Ninth Elder and the others were also anxious. They wanted to rush over immediately. However, Lin Xian's gaze was firm. He didn't waver. "All right, I understand." Seeing Lin Xian's expression, the Crimson Dragon nodded. He knew Lin Xian's character. Once he decided on something, he would never change his mind. Thus, his body flashed, and he brought Ancestor Morong and the others back to a safe place to watch the battle. Can he do it alone? Ancestor Morong was extremely shocked. "That's right. At most, we'll fight together. We're not afraid of death." The Shun family's ancestor gritted his teeth. "Fight with him. We can't let Lin Xian take the risk alone." Din Xian's eyes flashed. The Crimson Dragon sighed. "Forget it. That kid should have his own plans. Let's just watch." In front, the Heavenly Netherbird saw that the Crimson Dragon and the others had retreated, and only Lin Xian was left. It immediately revealed a disdainful smile. "What? Do you think that you can deal with me alone?" The Heavenly Netherbird sneered. "Although I've used up a lot of energy, against an ant like you, one slap is enough." "Don't be so proud. I already know your fatal weakness." Lin Xian's voice was cold and carried a trace of killing intent. "Fatal weakness? What do you know?" The Heavenly Netherbird raised its head and laughed maniacally. "I don't have a fatal weakness. You can't kill me. Your fatal weakness is your heart." Lin Xian shouted coldly and rushed out. "What?" Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Heavenly Netherbird smile disappeared and its face became extremely ugly. Damn it! Damn it! His opponent knew his fatal weakness. Impossible! How did he know? The Heavenly Netherbird was extremely shocked. Very few people knew about this weakness. Even Daoist Song Song didn't know about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have just sealed it and not killed it. Yes, that's right. It didn't have any weaknesses. Even if it was killed or its head exploded, it could still recover. The only fatal weakness was its heart. If its heart was gone, it couldn't be revived. This kid in front of it actually knew about such a secret. This made it extremely shocked. But then it sneered, so what if you know? You don't have the ability to break through my defense. Don't even think about killing me." The Heavenly Netherbird sneered and clashed with Lin Xian's long sword with its terrifying claws. Then an earth-shattering sound rang out and Lin Xian retreated. "Do you see that? With your little cultivation, you can't do anything to me." Chapter 1494. Although Lin Xian was pushed back, his lips curled into a smile. As expected, "Your strength has weakened a lot." If the Heavenly Netherbird was still a late 2-star king, he would not be able to do anything. But now, it seemed that she was only a mid-2-star king or even weaker. With such strength, if he went all out, he might be able to kill her. In the next moment, Lin Xian raised the great dragon sword soul and slowly cut a wound on her palm. With my blood, ignite the dragon's soul. Great dragon sword soul, wake up! Lin Xian roared angrily. Endless blood flowed from his palm and dripped onto the surrounding dragon sword domain. Instantly, the entire dragon sword realm was dyed red with blood and started to tremble. A deep and loud dragon roar resounded in all directions. This roar was filled with shocking power, as if it could tear apart the 9 heavens and shatter the earth. Lin Xian's aura also skyrocketed in an instant. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand flashed rapidly as if it had turned into a huge dragon. The 10,000 beast ding above his head shone brightly and spun rapidly. On top of it, all sorts of beasts swam around, flashing with a strange light. Kill! Lin Xian was like a god of death. His battle strength soared again. Then he became one with his sword and charged towards the heavenly netherbird like a ferocious beast. Lin Xian was too strong at this moment. He used his blood to ignite the dragon's soul, giving him a powerful strength. Brat, you're courting death. The heavenly netherbird was furious. She had just recovered her life force and was attacked like this. How could she not be angry? The moment he saw Lin Xian rushing over, he bellowed in rage. The black flames on her body surged and turned into a huge mountain, smashing towards Yixuan. Lin Xian activated the 10,000 beast ding above his head and quickly counterattacked. The 10,000 beast ding was a true Earth-grade artifact. It was extremely terrifying, so Lin Xian was not worried about it breaking. Therefore, he directly swung the 10,000 beast ding to meet the black, demonic mountain head-on. Clang! With a deafening roar, Lin Xian quickly arrived in front of the heavenly netherbird. At this moment, the entire dragon sword domain was still dyed red by his blood. The dragon sword soul had awakened, and it was as if a true dragon was wandering around. As the sword slashed out, countless dragon shadows surrounded it, accompanied by an extremely powerful force. On the other side, the heavenly netherbird's expression changed. She quickly summoned the 9 underworld devil sky shield and blocked in front of her. However, he was still sent flying by the enormous force. What? So powerful! Everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. They didn't expect Lin Xian to explode with such terrifying power. The Crimson Dragon frowned because he knew that Lin Xian was exchanging his blood for energy. How much blood could he lose? He was sure that this energy could not last for too long. Lin Xian naturally knew this as well, so he didn't stop after his attack succeeded. His body turned into an afterimage as he quickly chased after them. Not only that, but the dragon-shaped sword in his hand was also waving non-stop. One sword energy after another turned into true dragons that quickly circled in the sky and attacked the heavenly netherbird. Lin Xian's target was obvious, the heart. He didn't attack sky, nor did he attack anywhere else. Instead, he focused on the sky netherbird's heart. She knew that as long as she pierced the heaven's serene bird's heart, it would die and never revive. The heavenly netherbird was enraged. It waved its terrifying 9 hell demonic sword and quickly counterattacked. Dang, 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 dang. Countless sword chis intersected in the air, bursting forth with extremely resplendent light. A large amount of energy, light rained down in all directions. These energies were too terrifying, and a casual attack could pierce through a 1-star king realm expert. However, Lin Xian became more and more courageous as he fought. His entire body was enveloped by a blood-red light. Streaks of terrifying dragon-shaped sword chi slashed out in all directions. Not only that, but the 10,000 beast ding above Lin Xian's head was also releasing a black light. Ancient demonic beasts flew out from the 10,000 beast ding one after another, as if they were going to destroy the entire world. This was a true Earth-grade artifact. Lin Xian had directly ignited his bloodline power and forcefully activated it, displaying a terrifying might. Finally, the nine-held demonic sky shield in front of the heavenly Netherbird shattered once again, turning into countless black fragments that scattered in all directions. A demonic shadow and a dragon-shaped sword Qi viciously slashed at the heavenly Netherbird's body. Instantly, its enormous body was torn apart as countless cracks spread out, revealing even its bones. Especially the dragon-shaped sword Qi. It was too terrifying, and it had almost pierced through its heart. Ah, damn it! I'm going to kill you! The heavenly Netherbird was completely enraged. It realized that its opponent was too powerful. That energy made it feel an incomparable sense of danger. Therefore, it could no longer care about anything else. It quickly waved the nine-held demonic sword and pointed towards the sky. Suddenly, an incomparable black hole appeared above it, flashing with a black light. Last time, when the heavenly Netherbird used the nine-held demonic sword's consummate skill, this black hole had appeared. Who would have thought that it would appear again? This black hole was too mysterious. It was as if it was connected to another world. It was incomparably dark and emitted a terrifying aura. Even though Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, he still felt a chill down his spine. From the black vortex above, endless black gas quickly poured out and poured into the demonic sword. Suddenly, an incomparably terrifying power erupted. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. He knew that the heavenly Netherbird was going to use its consummate skill again, but he would not give it the chance. In the next moment, he burned all of his spiritual energy and blood qi, and his entire body emitted an endless red light. The shadow of a dragon circled around his body, and his entire body seemed to have merged with the great dragon sword soul, turning into a giant dragon that quickly flew forward. Kill! Roar! An earth-shattering roar followed by a red light that quickly cut through the void and killed the heavenly Netherbird. Die for me! The heavenly Netherbird was shocked. He did not expect that his opponent could explode with such power in an instant. This power was still enough to kill him. However, he had not completed his consummate skill. The nine-held demonic sword's demonic qi was increasing, but it had not reached its peak. But now he could not care less about this. He could only use the power that he had accumulated to quickly counterattack. The nine-held demonic sword was incomparably black. It flashed with a cold light and carried an incomparable power as it quickly slashed down. Lin Xian turned into a ferocious giant dragon and quickly swooped down in the air. In the next moment, the two collided. Pum! An earth-shattering sound rang out, followed by a bright light that exploded in the air. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions. This attack was too terrifying. The entire sky was completely enveloped by the energy and fell into nothingness. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The Crimson Dragon, the Happy King, and the others' faces changed drastically. They frantically retreated because the wave of energy was already crashing towards them. The energy was very terrifying. They did not dare to resist it at all. They could only brace themselves and run away. Sure enough, as soon as they left, the place where they originally stood was immediately shattered, and a boundless black hole appeared. Chapter 1495. On the Sky Martial Continent, everyone looked at the sky. The light screen in the sky was also filled with endless light. They could not see what was going on. Everyone could only wait nervously. Ah, ah, ah. However, at the center of the energy, an extremely miserable cry could be heard. It was the heavenly serene bird's cry. It was as if it had been hit by something extremely terrifying. Its entire body became extremely miserable. In the end, the cry became weaker and weaker. It even turned into fear. Damn it! Impossible! I don't believe it. How can you have such powerful strength? Damn it! Just a little bit more. I was so close to being able to communicate with the underworld. Then, I would definitely be able to kill you." After this cry, the heavenly serene bird's voice completely disappeared. In the sky, the dazzling light was also rapidly fading. However, the Crimson Dragon and the others still did not dare to move forward because there was still an endless amount of energy remaining. The remnant energy was extremely terrifying. It could easily tear apart Void Fragmentation Realm experts and kill King Realm experts. All they could do was wait. They could only move forward after the energy dissipated completely. Of course, they were praying in their hearts that Lin Xian was safe. The Crimson Dragon and the others looked forward and waited anxiously. On the Sky Martial continent, all the cultivators raised their heads and looked at the sky, waiting silently. They wanted to know whether the heavenly serene bird was dead or not. Was Lin Xian in danger? However, the terrifying energy storm in front of them had yet to dissipate. In the sky, the black vortex became bigger and bigger. In the end, it enveloped the entire space. In an instant, the space in front of them became pitch black. Not even light could penetrate it. Damn it, what is that? The Crimson Dragon's face turned gloomy. He did not expect such a change to happen at the most crucial moment. The others were also shocked. Even the Shun family's old ancestor sent out his soul force to check it out. However, when his soul force got close to it, it was almost sucked in. The Shun family's old ancestor was so frightened that he quickly retracted his soul force. The other kings did not dare to try again. "Hey kid, are you all right?" Finally, the Crimson Dragon could not wait any longer and could only shout out loud. This was the most helpless method. However, a response actually came from the black space. "Ruzalong, I'm fine. I've already killed the heavenly netherbird. It can't be revived. The Martial Sky continent is safe." Lin Xian's voice rang out. Hearing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat, and they were all overjoyed. "What did you say? Was the heavenly netherbird dead? Is this true?" Everyone was extremely excited. "It's true. I've already pierced his heart. It's impossible for him to come back to life." After receiving confirmation, the 6 members of the Crimson Dragon were overjoyed. At this moment, it wasn't just them. Everyone on the Martial Heaven continent learned of this news. Immediately, waves of cheers arose and shook the 9 heavens. They couldn't help it. They were too excited. This kind of feeling of having no descendants left was something they would probably only experience a few times in their lifetime. "We're saved. We're finally saved. Great. It's Lin Xian. It's Lin Xian who saved us." Everyone was extremely excited. At this moment, all the martial artists on the Martial Heaven continent looked up to the sky and shouted Lin Xian's name with all their might. Because at this moment, Lin Xian had saved the Martial Heaven continent. He had become the savior of the world. He had become the hero in their hearts. The loud and clear voices were like the waves of the sea. Each wave was louder than the previous one, and it directly dispersed the clouds in the sky. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon and the others were also extremely excited, especially the Murong ancestor and the Shun family ancestor. They all heaved a sigh of relief. Great, the danger has been resolved. However, after waiting for a long time, they still didn't see Lin Xian come out. Thus, the Crimson Dragon asked anxiously, "Brat, what are you doing? Hurry up and come out." "That's right. Could it be that your injuries are too serious? Can't you walk?" Dean Xian asked with concern. Inside, Lin Xian laughed bitterly. "I'm afraid I can't go out now. There seems to be a strange space here that has enveloped me. But don't worry, I don't feel any threat for now. Wait until I recover my strength, then I'll go out." "Brat, are you sure there's no danger?" The Crimson Dragon was still worried. That thing seemed to have been summoned by the heavenly netherbird. Indeed, there was no danger. Lin Xian carefully confirmed that the surroundings were pitch black and he couldn't see anything. But there was no danger, and it didn't pose any threat to him. Thus he quickly said, "Roussillon, you guys go back first. I'm fine here. The Martial Heaven continent still needs you guys to take care of the situation. Hurry up and go back." "All right then." Everyone sighed. This was the only way. As long as Lin Xian was fine, they could be at ease. "Roussillon, you should go back to the Palace of Gods of War first." "Once I'm done here, I'll go back immediately." "All right, be careful." The Crimson Dragon nodded. Then the 6 kings turned into rays of light and left the place. On the Martial Heaven continent, the black light that the heavenly Netherbird had condensed also slowly disappeared. However, although the scene had disappeared, the people on the Martial Heaven continent were still in a jubilant mood. They were too excited. Now, on the Martial Heaven continent, everyone was talking about this battle. Everyone was talking about Lin Xian's name. But Lin Xian didn't leave. He was still in the dark space. Previously, he had burned all of his blood and spiritual energy to fuse with the great dragon sword spirit to quickly attack the heavenly Netherbird. Finally, he had pierced the heavenly Netherbird's heart and successfully killed it. However, the pitch-black vortex that the opponent had summoned didn't disappear. Instead, it enveloped the entire space. Thus, it formed the current situation. However, although the surrounding atmosphere was gloomy and there was no light, Lin Xian didn't feel any discomfort. Thus, he could only recover his strength first and think of a solution later. It was too dangerous before. He had almost died in this battle. This was because burning one's blood was extremely dangerous. Once the blood was burned dry, the martial artist would probably die. Lin Xian had no choice but to do so. Fortunately, he had the immortality art. At the last moment, the immortality art displayed an extremely strong recovery ability. This had saved his life. Now, although he was in danger, his life wasn't in danger. After spending more than 10 days, Lin Xian had recovered about 70 to 80% of his strength. Then, he stood up and prepared to explore the dark space. He still remembered the heavenly Netherbird's last words. What did it say about almost opening the underworld and obtaining power? This made him extremely puzzled. Could this dark space be called the underworld? Lin Xian couldn't understand. Now that the heavenly Netherbird was dead, he had no one to ask. He could only explore by himself. However, it was too dark here. He couldn't see clearly. Furthermore, he tried using his spiritual energy, but it was useless. For safety's sake, he instantly covered himself with the starry sky armor and quickly walked around. Suddenly, he bumped into something. Immediately, the sound of metal colliding rang out. Chapter 1496. It's so sharp. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he felt a chill coming from the cosmic armor. Fortunately, he was careful and activated the armor in advance. Otherwise, he might have been injured. This is... Lin Xian looked carefully and finally found what it was. The reason for that was because his palm was already holding onto that item. It was the 9-hell demonic sword. It was the weapon used by the heavenly Netherbird, and it was sent flying at the last moment. He didn't expect it to fall here. The 9-hell demonic sword left a deep impression on him because it was too terrifying. It was extremely powerful, and it was made of a special material that couldn't be broken. He guessed that it was an Earth-rank artifact. Now, he had 10,000 beast ding complete Earth-rank artifacts. However, 10,000 beast ding was good for refining pills and controlling beasts. Although it was very powerful in battle, he wasn't used to it. He still preferred to use a sword. The Lone Star sword was only a half Earth-rank artifact. Although it had an Earth-rank fragment, it was still too weak for him. Now, the heavenly Netherbird had died and left the 9-hell demonic sword behind. This demonic sword was very powerful and suitable for him to use. That was because he had never seen a sword that was more powerful than this one. Although I don't know where the heavenly Netherbird got it, From now on, you're mine." Lin Xian grabbed the nine-held demonic sword and tried to pull it up from the ground. However, in the next moment, there was a change. The nine-held demonic sword trembled and released a terrifying aura. It stabbed towards Lin Xian's hand, wanting to kill him. The black sword qi quickly condensed and enveloped Lin Xian. It was obvious that the nine-held demonic sword was resisting. Lin Xian snorted coldly as countless dazzling sword gleams appeared on his palm as well, quickly attacking the black sword aura. At the same time, the dragon sword soul in his body surged and quickly suppressed the nine-held demonic sword. Even the heavenly netherbird was killed. What could a demonic sword do? Lin Xian snorted and his eyes shone brightly. At this moment, he mobilized all of his power to suppress the nine underworld's demonic sword. However, he didn't expect that this suppression would last for an entire day and night. The nine-held demon sword was simply too terrifying. It possessed a heaven-reaching demonic qi and seemed to have an inexplicable connection with this pitch-black space, so its resistance was abnormally fierce. If Lin Xian hadn't grasped the great dragon sword soul, he probably wouldn't have been able to control it. However, no matter how strong he was, it was useless. One day later, Lin Xian completely suppressed the nine-nether devil sword. After that, the great dragon sword spirit in Lin Xian's body surged out and poured into the nine underworld demonic sword, erasing all the marks left behind by the heavenly netherbird. Wang, Wang, Wang. The nine underworld demon sword trembled again, but it soon calmed down. The great dragon's sword spirit roared and returned to Lin Xian's body, while Lin Xian once again grasped the nine-nether devil sword. This time, the nine underworld's demon sword did not resist. In fact, it even trembled in excitement. On the other hand, Lin Xian felt as if he and the black sword before him had become one. It was even to the extent that he felt that the nine underworld's demon sword had become a part of his body. With a light wave, the nine underworld's demon sword easily slashed open a black tear in space. What a terrifying demon sword! Lin Xian was surprised. He noticed that the grade of this demon sword was absolutely not low. It was at least an Earth-rank treasure. Otherwise, it was impossible for it to be so formidable. Finally, I have a weapon that suits me. Lin Xian smiled with satisfaction. He stabbed the nine underworld's demon sword into the ground once more, and then he sat down cross-legged. After entering the king realm, the Lone Star sword could no longer satisfy him, and the nine underworld's demon sword just happened to make up for it. It was even to the extent that when he held the nine underworld's demon sword, he felt a strand of mystical energy pour into his body from the entire black space. In the beginning, he was shocked, but when he sensed it carefully, he noticed that it was pure spiritual energy that was extremely beneficial to his cultivation. He was overjoyed once more. Although he still didn't know what this black space was, Lin Xian knew that it was definitely related to the nine underworld's demon sword. Now that he had subdued the nine underworld's demon sword, he would probably be able to absorb the energy within this black space. He would not waste such an enormous amount of energy. If he could absorb it, his cultivation would definitely rise once more. At the same time, he had thought of using this energy as the energy source for the Black Earth. However, he noticed that he was unable to take this space away. It only existed here. If he didn't absorb it, it was very likely that it would disappear. Moreover, Lin Xian had found the energy source for the Black Earth. It was the corpse of the heavenly netherbird. The heavenly netherbird was a late two-star king. Although it was dead, its corpse still contained an enormous amount of energy. It was extremely suitable to be used as the energy source for the Black Earth. Since he had made up his mind, Lin Xian didn't hesitate any longer and quickly absorbed it. Once he absorbed it, he realized that the energy contained within this black space was simply too enormous. It was incomparably terrifying. He wouldn't be able to absorb it all in a short period of time. However, he wasn't worried. At least for now, there wasn't any danger in the Sky Martial continent. Therefore, he could wholeheartedly cultivate. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months passed. Lin Xian still hadn't come out. At the same time, the Crimson Dragon, Morong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu, the ninth elder, and the others were extremely anxious. They were worried that something had happened to Lin Xian, so they quickly flew over to check on him. However, when they heard Lin Xian's voice transmission, they were relieved. They knew that Lin Xian was cultivating. Furthermore, he was at a critical moment and couldn't be disturbed. As long as Lin Xian wasn't in danger, they were at ease. This time he spent an entire year cultivating. After an entire year, Lin Xian had completely absorbed the energy of the black space. When he finished absorbing the last bit of energy, the entire black space instantly disappeared and the surroundings returned to normal. In the distance, the huge corpse of the heavenly netherbird had smashed a terrifying deep hole in the ground. Furthermore, the corpse was covered in blue ice. It was completely sealed in ice. This was caused by Lin Xian using the sea god's ice seal. He was worried that the energy would be lost, so he had frozen it a year ago. At the side, Lin Xian was sitting cross-legged. In front of him was a black, demonic sword that flickered with a dazzling light. The demonic sword was covered in strange patterns. When the wind blew, the patterns emitted a mysterious energy. Although the entire black space had disappeared, Lin Xian didn't open his eyes. Instead, he was cultivating rapidly because he had reached the most critical point, breaking through to the king realm. That's right, the black space contained too much energy. It allowed Lin Xian to directly rise from the mid-stage of the ninth heaven venerate realm to finally reach the most critical step, breaking through to the king realm. This step was a life and death moment for any cultivator. It was extremely difficult. It had to be handled carefully. However, Lin Xian was different. Chapter 1497. He had already condensed his king's domain. Now, only his body's life force had reached the king realm. It could be said that it was much easier for him than ordinary martial artists. This process not only required his vitality to increase, but it also required his martial soul to transform into a king's domain. Although Lin Xian had the dragon's sword domain transformed from the great dragon sword soul, he still had other martial souls. What he needed to do now was to infuse the energy of his other martial souls into the dragon sword domain. Buzz! A purple and white figure appeared behind Lin Xian. It was his lightning martial soul. At this moment, the lightning martial soul turned into 2 pure energies and entered the dragon sword domain. Instantly, the entire dragon sword domain trembled and countless lightning flashed. It could be clearly felt that the dragon sword domain strength had increased by another level. Then, countless pitch-black flames entered the dragon sword domain. This was Lin Xian's black flame martial soul. After this, there was also the ice dance martial soul. The 3 martial souls turned into pure energies and increased the power of the dragon sword domain. Soon, the dragon sword domain released a bright light, and the outline became more solid than before. Just from this domain, it could be seen that Lin Xian had already surpassed a 1-star king. Even an ordinary 2-star king was inferior to him in terms of king's domain. At the same time, a terrifying pressure erupted from his body. This was the pressure of a king. It meant that Lin Xian had completely entered the king realm. Not only did he have the extremely powerful dragon sword domain, his body had also evolved and broken through to become a king's body. Although he was only in his 20s, he had lived for more than 2,000 years. It could be said that he was at the peak of the Tianwu continent. Other than that, more importantly, his battle strength had undergone an earth-shattering change. In the past, he needed to combine with the other 5 kings and ignite his bloodline power to fight against the heavenly netherbird. But now he could feel that he could kill the heavenly netherbird with just his own strength. This was the greatest benefit of becoming a king. since he had already become a king and the black space had disappeared. Lin Xian had no need to stay here. Thus, he waved his hand and stored the heavenly Netherbird's corpse and the 9 underworld demon sword into the dragon sword domain. Then his figure flashed and he left. The martial heaven continent regained its calm. It had been a year since the last time the heavenly Netherbird attacked the continent. Although they were not as excited as they were back then, there were still warriors who talked about the battle from time to time. Among them, Lin Xian's name was the hottest topic among these cultivators. That was because Lin Xian had killed the heaven Netherbird. He was the savior of the martial heaven continent. Now, all the martial artists on the continent had joined hands to create a huge statue of him that was erected at the center of the continent. This statue was very large and exquisitely carved. One look and one could tell that it was the work of a master. The lines depicted Lin Xian's demeanor. In the statue, he stepped on a divine dragon and held a killing sword in his hand. He looked valiant and looked down on the world. Even these people and Lin Xian had never thought that 1,000 years later, there would still be such a legend in the sky martial continent. On the other side, Lin Xian used his ultimate movement technique and quickly rushed back to the Palace of Ares. A few days later, he finally returned. Whoosh! He turned into a streak of sword light and drifted downwards. Who's there? Below, the martial artists of the Palace of Ares heard the commotion and shouted coldly. That was because, in this year, the Palace of Ares had become the sacred ground of the martial heaven continent. No one dared to provoke it. But now, someone had landed without saying anything. It's me. Lin Xian's figure flashed and appeared on the ground. Young master, the young master is back. When the martial artists of the Palace of Ares saw that figure, they immediately cried out in alarm. Very quickly, the news of Lin Xian's return spread throughout the Palace of Ares. Not long after, the 9th elder, the 10th elder, and countless other elders of the Palace of Ares arrived. They looked at Lin Xian excitedly. Young master, you're back. The 9th elder's voice trembled. He was too happy. I've made you all worry. Lin Xian smiled and walked in with a group of elders. He knew that these elders would definitely have many questions, so he spent half a day answering all of their questions. Then he walked out of the palace and sighed in relief. Damn, you've become a king. The Crimson Dragon also flew over from afar. He immediately felt that Lin Xian's aura was different. I just broke through. Lin Xian smiled. Rizalong, get ready. We're going back to the Tianen region. Back to the Tianen region? The Crimson Dragon was stunned. Then he exclaimed, You found the source of the energy. I found it. I think the corpse of the heavenly Netherbird is not bad. That's great. Then we can leave this place and go to the true spirit world. Then the Crimson Dragon went to prepare, while Lin Xian went to the 1,000 Spirits Valley, where his father was in seclusion. Lin Zhan was still in seclusion, but this time he left a message. The message said that because he had sent out a clone, his seclusion time would be extended again. The message also said that Lin Xian could move the Lin family members to the Palace of Ares, and Lin Xian could also go to the true spirit world in advance. According to the rumors, Lin Zhan would also go to the real true spirit world after he came out of seclusion. After knowing his father's situation, Lin Xian did not hesitate anymore. He quickly prepared with the Crimson Dragon and headed to the Tianen region. Of course, before leaving, Lin Xian went to the Morong family and Xin family, respectively, to see Morong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu. However, he did not bring the two of them to the Tianen region this time. This time, it was only him and the Crimson Dragon. Both of them were kings, so they flew extremely fast. This time, the speed of their return to the Tianen region was twice as fast as the last time. After a few months, they arrived at the Tianen region. In the Tianen region, the Black Dragon sect had been destroyed and the entire continent had returned to peace. As for the people of the Martial Alliance, after Lin Xian's warning, they did not dare to try to take over the entire continent. Even their people in the Xia country had been evacuated. Lin Xian was very satisfied with this. He did not stop and flew directly in the direction of the Xia country's demon pit. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 rays of light streaked across the sky and disappeared instantly. Finally, the 2 of them arrived above the demon pit again. Then, the 2 of them landed and quickly used their king's domain to break through the thick fog. Soon, they arrived in front of the Black Earth. Lin Xian sent a voice inside. Soon, the door of the Black Earth opened with a click. Lin Xian, you're back! He, too, was still leaning over the broken sword and quickly floated out. I'm back. How are my people? Lin Xian asked. Don't worry, they're all good. They're improving very fast. Many of them have become supremacies. Hearing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Hey, Tu asked again, you're back. Does this mean that you found the energy essence? Chapter 1498. Hey, Tu asked again, since you're back, does that mean you found the energy essence? I found it. Lin Xian waved his hand and threw out a black corpse. This is the heavenly netherbird. He, too, was shocked. Where did you get the heavenly netherbird's corpse? Thus, Lin Xian explained what happened in the sky martial continent and asked, how is it? Can the heavenly netherbird's corpse be used as an energy source? 2-star late-stage king, it's fine. As long as we can activate the Black Earth, things will be easy in the future. He too was excited. He could finally leave this place. Lin Xian asked again, do you know what the underworld is? Underworld? Why are you asking this? He too's voice was serious. The heavenly netherbird seems to be able to borrow the energy of the underworld. Also, I obtained a demon sword that seems to be related to the underworld. Lin Xian waved his hand and pulled out the 9-hell demon sword from the king's domain. It's strange that the heavenly netherbird has a connection with the underworld. Could it be that this demon sword also came from the underworld? He, too, looked carefully but couldn't figure it out. He then said seriously, Brat, the true spirit world is vast and boundless. However, there are some places that are extremely dangerous. Humans call them forbidden lands. The underworld is one of them. Let me tell you, don't even think about these forbidden lands. Even saints can't survive there. What? That's terrifying. Lin Xian was shocked. He wasn't a newbie anymore. He knew that above kings were saints. They were even more terrifying existences. However, even such a powerful expert couldn't return from a forbidden land. It seemed that the forbidden lands were truly terrifying. He just didn't know where the heavenly netherbird obtained the 9-hell demon sword. However, he didn't think too much about it. After all, this demon sword already belonged to him. Lin Xian put away the 9-hell demon sword and ran to see Grandpa Lin and the others. He, too, and the Crimson Dragon moved the heavenly netherbird's corpse into the Black Earth and used it as an energy source to activate the Black Earth. 3 days later, the Black Earth suddenly trembled. Lin Xian, Grandpa Lin, and the others all came out. Lin Xian was even more excited. He asked, Is it done? It's done. The heavenly netherbird's body is well preserved, and the energy inside hasn't been lost. It's perfect as an energy source. He too quickly said, We can leave at any time. Are we leaving now? Lin Xian took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Let's go. Soon after, the Black Earth glowed and rose from the ground. It turned into a stream of light and rushed into the sky. The entire demon abyss was filled with rolling clouds. Massive amounts of clouds were like waves crashing in all directions. Disappeared. From today, the Xia was it. The Black Earth turned into a stream of light and instantly disappeared from the sky. 10 days later, he arrived above the palace of gods of war. Fast. It was too fast. It had to be known that Lin Xian and the others had used close to half a year to travel between the Tianan region and the Tianwu continent on the spirit boat. Even after he became a king, he still needed 2 to 3 months. But now the Black Earth only took 10 days to arrive above the palace of gods of war. It had to be said that this was really too shocking. When He Tu heard this, he laughed in disdain. This is nothing. This is just flying at a low speed. Our true speed will only be revealed after we leave the Tianwu continent. He had to conserve some energy. Heavens, this is just flying at a low speed. Lin Xian was shocked. The Crimson Dragon also swallowed his saliva. To be honest, the grade of this flying ship was beyond his imagination. It was definitely not an ordinary Earth-class artifact. After arriving above the palace of gods of war, Lin Xian quickly sent a voice transmission to the people below to prevent any misunderstandings. Below, the warriors of the palace of gods of war received the order and immediately opened a passage for Lin Xian and the others to enter. The palace of gods of war was now impregnable. There were formations set up by the Crimson Dragon everywhere. If others were to barge in, they would definitely be attacked. Those below the king level would not be able to escape. Even kings would be flustered. Seeing the formation open a passage, the Black Earth quickly transformed into a small spirit tribe. With a whoosh, it entered the passage. Soon, it arrived at the surface of the palace of gods of war. Poof! The spirit ship landed slowly, causing a huge shockwave that surged in all directions. Near the 9th Elder and the others had already gathered. They had received Lin Xian's notice and were here to welcome him. The Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were the first to walk out. Old Master Lin, second Uncle Lin, and the rest of the Lin family followed. Young Master, you're back. 9th Elder and the others quickly walked forward. Lin Xian began to introduce both parties. Then he asked 9th Elder and the others to arrange for his family members to rest. Lin Xian had already thought about it. He would let the Lin family settle down here in the future. He and Dean Xian would send the younger disciples to Senmu College to cultivate. As for the older generation, they would cultivate in the palace of gods of war. Lin Xian did not have to worry too much about the future of the Lin family, because according to the rumors, his father had already set up a series of measures to ensure the safety of the Lin family. Lin Xian only needed to leave in peace. After settling down the Lin family, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. However, Lin Xian did not leave immediately. In the following month, he spent time with Old Master Lin and the rest of his family. Lin Xian knew that he did not know when he would return after leaving this time. Now that he had time, he had to spend more time with his family. At the same time, he arranged for people to search for news of Zhao Shui on the mainland. Lin Xian had never forgotten about Zhao Shui. However, after she came out of the remote sky secret realm, there was no news of her. Now he sent people to search for her, hoping to find her when he left. However, he did not receive any news of Zhao Shui. Instead, he received news of 2 people. They were Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu. The 2 girls knew that Lin Xian was leaving the Tianwu continent, so they had been waiting patiently in the family. Now that they knew that Lin Xian had returned, they immediately rushed over. When Lin Xian found out what the 2 girls were thinking, his eyes widened in shock. What? You want to go to the quintessential world too? However, we don't know what's going on there. It might be very dangerous. Do you really want to go? When he saw Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu's eyes, Lin Xian sighed. How could he not know what they were thinking? After spending these days together, they had already developed feelings for each other. Not to mention the 2 girls, he was also very reluctant. Chapter 1499. He Tu flew over and quickly said, What's the big deal? Let's go together." These two had extraordinary bloodlines. It was a pity for them to stay in this small place. Don't worry. With their bloodlines, they will be put to good use in the quintessential world. Hearing this, Lin Xian was overjoyed. If that was the case, it was not impossible to bring Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu away. When the two women came to the Palace of Gods of War, they had already discussed it with their families and received their approval. Therefore, they did not need to go back. They only needed to stay by Lin Xian's side. Lin Xian, on the other hand, quickly prepared some resources. After all, according to He Tu, the journey was extremely long. After waiting for another month, Lin Xian still did not find Zhao Shui. Suddenly he sighed. He knew that there was no point in waiting any longer. Therefore, he prepared to leave. This time, the Crimson Dragon, Murong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan left with him. Lin Xian was also surprised that Luo Bingshan wanted to follow him. This was because he had already removed the beast slave seal on Luo Bingshan and restored her freedom. Logically speaking, she should have left. However, Luo Bingshan did not leave. Instead, she continued to follow Lin Xian. This time, she even insisted on going to the quintessential world. In the end, Lin Xian nodded and agreed. The group boarded the Black Earth. Lin Xian bid farewell to Old Master Lin, Second Uncle Lin, Ninth Elder, and the others. Goodbye, Grandfather, Second Uncle, Ninth Elder. Goodbye, Palace of Gods of War. Goodbye, Sky Martial Continent. Lin Xian stood in the sky and looked down silently. Then he took a deep breath and entered the Black Earth. Lin Xian knew that he did not know when he would return to the quintessential world this time. After Lin Xian entered, the Black Earth closed completely. Then it released a bright light and disappeared into the sky like a shooting star. In a day, the Black Earth left the Sky Martial Continent and came to the Endless Sea. According to He Tu, now was the time to truly accelerate. There were countless array formations and mechanisms on the Black Earth. Under Lin Xian's control, he could see the situation outside. Behind them, the Tianwu continent became smaller and smaller until it was just a small black dot. All around them was the endless blue sea. In the next moment, the Black Earth suddenly trembled like a huge black hole, and it began to devour the surrounding spiritual energy. Under the full acceleration, the heavenly Netherbird's corpse couldn't withstand it. Fortunately, he had already activated the Black Earth with the heavenly Netherbird's corpse. All he needed to do now was to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. He Tu was very excited. Then, under his control, the Black Earth released an endless amount of light. It instantly accelerated, turning into a stream of light as it sped across the entire sea. It was too fast. Even Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon couldn't see what was happening outside. Lin Xian estimated that this speed was definitely not something an ordinary king could display. Fortunately, they had the Black Earth's defense. Otherwise, if they were to directly endure this speed, their bodies would probably split apart. Since they couldn't see the situation outside, Lin Xian and the others didn't continue to look. According to He Tu, this high-speed flight should take about a year to reach the true Tianwu continent. This seemed like a long time, but it was already very fast. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't be able to reach it. Below the Venerable Realm, they probably wouldn't be able to reach it in their lifetime. Even kings wouldn't be able to reach it without dozens or hundreds of years. One could imagine how vast this endless sea was. Fortunately, he had the Black Earth. Otherwise, Lin Xian might not be able to leave the Tianwu continent for the rest of his life. Since he had a year's time, Lin Xian couldn't waste it. Apart from spending time with Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu, he used the rest of his time to cultivate. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu were very obedient. They knew that Lin Xian had many close female friends, so they didn't plan on monopolizing them. Therefore, the relationship between the two was very good. Murong Qingqing treated Xinjingqiu like a sister. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief about the relationship between the two. Fortunately, they had a good relationship. Otherwise, he would have a headache. Damn, kid. 2 beautiful characters have been taken by you. Does it feel good? The Crimson Dragon laughed strangely. Lin Xian rolled his eyes at him. I remember there's a girl called Zhao Shui. Looks like it won't be a problem for her to join us. Ayaya, 3 stunning beauties. Just thinking about it makes me envious. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. Lin Xian kicked him. Are you itching for a beating? Damn, kid, you dare to plot against me? Come. Ben Huang will teach you how to behave. In fact, the Crimson Dragon was too bored, so he would find Lin Xian to spar every few days. Of course, they were just sparring. The resources on the Black Earth were abundant and were enough for everyone to cultivate. Among them, Murong Qingcheng, Shan Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan's cultivation was guided by He Tuesday. According to He Tu, it was not impossible for them to become kings within a year. The Crimson Dragon's main goal was to recover all of his strength. After Lin Xian entered the King Realm, he had mastered the Furious Dragon Mantra and the Heavenly Divination Technique. Now that he was cultivating these techniques, there was no longer any effect. Moreover, according to He Tu, although the techniques he cultivated were all Earth rank techniques, they were all low-grade Earth rank techniques. Earth rank techniques were also divided into 4 grades: high, medium, low, and peak. Low-grade techniques were the most common. For martial artists below the King Realm, their power could be said to be divine. However, low-grade Earth rank cultivation techniques were truly too ordinary to King Realm martial artists. Generally, those with strength would cultivate mid-grade Earth rank or high-grade Earth rank techniques. As for top-grade Earth rank techniques, they were extremely rare. Only some of the top clans had them. On the martial sky continent, the top clan was the House of Kings. However, in the quintessential world, they were not kings. Although they were powerful, they were not ranked. The top clans in the quintessential world were the various sacred grounds and the clans of the ancients. These sacred grounds and clans were extremely powerful, and many of them had produced emperors. As for the rest, even if they had not, they had been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years, and their foundations were extremely terrifying. It was absolutely not something that Lin Xian could imagine. The quintessential world was divided into 5 continents, and each continent had its own clans of the ancients and peerless sacred grounds. They were the true rulers of the quintessential world. The Danzong that Lin Xian was going to this time was not a peerless sacred ground, but a subsidiary sect of the peerless sacred ground. However, its strength was also extremely terrifying and unimaginable. It was absolutely not something that the House of Kings on the martial sky continent could compare to. Lin Xian was extremely excited when he heard the news. He knew that that was the true great world, where geniuses were numerous and countless experts. Cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and natural treasures were even more maddening. On the other hand, he wanted to carve out a world that belonged to him in this great world. Chapter 1500. Great Emperor. Lin Xian took a deep breath as his eyes burst out with resplendent light. As long as one was a martial artist, there was no one who didn't want to become a great emperor. This was also Lin Xian's goal. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Xian began to cultivate. As the 4th-generation Dragon Sword Inheritor's spirit ship, the Black Earth contained many martial arts manuals. These manuals were all Earth rank martial arts, and the weakest was Earth rank low rank. Many of them were Earth rank mid rank, and there were even Earth rank high rank martial arts. According to He Tu, there were Earth rank top rank martial arts, but they weren't here and had been destroyed. He Tu sighed at this point. The 4th-generation dragon, Sword Inheritor, was too young. It could be said that he was assassinated just as he revealed his talent. This also sounded an alarm for Lin Xian. He knew that once the secret of the great dragon sword soul was exposed, he would be pursued endlessly. Earth-rank martial arts were extremely terrifying, but they were also very difficult to cultivate, especially Earth-rank, mid-rank, and high-rank martial arts. They were even more difficult and bitter. Therefore, Lin Xian knew that he shouldn't bite off more than he could chew. When choosing martial arts, he was even more careful. In terms of body, Lin Xian found that the longevity incantation was already sufficient, and he didn't need to use other martial arts. Therefore, Lin Xian only needed to choose between attack and soul power. Among them, there was an earth rank martial art, myriad sword arts. Lin Xian liked it very much, because he found that this myriad sword arts could be used together with his dragon sword domain to display an extremely powerful battle strength. This myriad sword arts was divided into 3 levels, and the 3rd level was great success. In addition to attack power, there was also soul power as well as other secret arts. It could be said that the martial arts here were very complete, and it was enough for Lin Xian to cultivate. And Lin Xian was like a sponge, rapidly absorbing them. Just like this, he began his king realm cultivation. The black earth was like a shooting star flying in the boundless sea. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye a year had passed. Kid, there's still a month or so before we reach the real true spirit continent. On this day, news came from Hey Tuesday, are we almost there? Lin Xian opened his eyes from his cultivation. He could not help but feel excited again. However, at this moment there was a sudden tremor, and the entire black earth shook. What happened? Lin Xian asked with a frown. Damn it, someone's attacking us. Hey, too quickly said. Soon after, the surrounding walls flickered, revealing the situation outside. After the previous tremors, the black earth had slowed down. Around them, there were 5 huge spirit boats. 4 of them were around them, blocking their way. The 5th person was a burly man standing on the spirit boat right in front of them. What's going on? Lin Xian frowned. F***CK, it's actually pirates. Hey Tu's voice was heavy. I wonder how strong they are. Pirates? Lin Xian's frown deepened. Naturally, he knew what pirates meant. They were definitely some powerful martial artists who robbed the passing spirit boats. However, he did not expect that he would encounter them. The people inside, listen up. Hurry up and come out for inspection. Otherwise, don't blame me for destroying your spirit boat. An extremely arrogant voice sounded. At this moment, Morong Qingqing and the other 2 also arrived. What do we do? The 3 of them looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was gloomy. He asked, Hey Tu, is this spirit boat sturdy? Don't worry, this black earth is definitely beyond your imagination. The other party will definitely not be able to destroy it. Hey Tu was very confident about this. All right, let's drive over and destroy their spirit boat. Lin Xian said. All right, very violent. I like it. Hey Tu quickly flew and continued to control the spirit boat. In front, there were countless people standing on the spirit boat. The person at the front was a burly man with many martial artists beside him. They were all 1-star kings. As for the burly man, his aura was even more powerful. He had actually reached 2-star king realm. This kind of cultivation was enough to sweep through the entire Tianwu continent. However, they did not expect that there would only be a pirate leader here. From this, one could imagine how developed the martial Tao in the quintessential world was. At this moment, a skinny man beside him said, Boss, looking at the appearance of that spirit boat, it should be a big fat sheep. The burly man also smiled sinisterly. This spirit boat is not bad. I like it. Later, let's see who is on it. If they are weak, just kill them. Everything they have is mine. Don't worry, boss. We know what to do. The kings beside us all laughed. They were not rookies. They had been pirates here for a long time. Therefore, it was very easy to do these things. However, the skinny man soon frowned. This was because he realized that the spirit boat in front of them did not stop as expected. Instead, it flickered with an incomparably terrifying light. He's trying to escape. Humph, it's just a spirit boat. You want to escape from me? You're courting death. Order everyone to attack. The burly man's face darkened as he quickly gave the order. Immediately, the surrounding 4 spirit boats flickered with light and rapidly shot out beams of resplendent light. These light beams were extremely terrifying and contained extremely powerful energy. A 1-star king would not be able to resist them at all. Even a 2-star king would be threatened. However, at this moment, the Black Earth was moving at an extremely fast speed. It dodged the 4 pillars of light in an instant and continued to fly forward. What? He dodged them? So fast! The kings were shocked. They did not expect this to happen. The burly man's face was extremely gloomy because he realized that the other party was actually flying towards him. You dare to charge towards me? You're courting death. The burly man sneered and then said, Order everyone to attack and destroy this spirit boat. He was too angry. He had been a pirate for so many years, but he had never encountered such a situation. But now, someone actually dared to provoke him. He was courting death. Soon, the spirit boat under his feet slashed out a huge beam of light. It was like a heavenly blade that ruthlessly slashed forward. Suddenly, the void cracked and airwaves rolled. The sky and sea were split open, creating a vacuum. This attack was too powerful and fast. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the Black Earth. Suddenly, an earth-shattering collision sound was heard. It was like a sudden clap of thunder. The burly man sneered. Humph! How dare you go against me? This is your fate. Before he finished laughing, he suddenly froze. His face froze, and his pupils dilated as if he had seen a ghost. This was because he saw a beam of light rushing towards him from the explosion of energy in front of him. It was the spirit boat from before. Chapter 1501. What? Impossible! How is this possible? The burly man was shocked, and the pirates behind him were all stunned. Not only was the other party undamaged, but it was also completely unscathed. They couldn't believe it. Damn it! What kind of spiritual boat is this? How can it be so powerful? The group's faces were gloomy, but soon they screamed, because the spiritual boat was rapidly charging towards them. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The burly man roared crazily, while the other pirates felt their scalps go numb as they desperately ran to the sides. Boom! In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out. The Black Earth crashed into the spiritual boat in front of it, causing an earth-shattering tremor as countless shockwaves rolled out. The spiritual boat in front of it was smashed into pieces by the Black Earth. As for the pirates on the spiritual boat, they were directly turned into a bloody mist. The burly man and the other kings escaped rather quickly, so they weren't knocked down. However, the energy storm from the explosion still sent them flying. Whoosh! Several of them vomited blood, their faces pale. The Black Earth didn't stop at all. Like a meteor, it quickly flew into the distance. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! What kind of spiritual boat is that? The group of people roared crazily, extremely shocked. They had been pirates for so many years, but they had never seen such a powerful method. Inside the Black Earth snorted in disdain. Humph! A bunch of pirates dare to rob me? If I wasn't worried about the lack of energy, I would have killed them with one blast. Lin Xian and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Black Earth was incomparably powerful. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome for him to take action. This was only the beginning. After this, they encountered several more waves of pirates. However, the Black Earth was still charging forward in an extremely valiant manner. Anyone who dared to intercept was directly smashed and sent flying. Just like that, Lin Xian and the others quickly flew and finally arrived at the quintessential world. Finally, after a year and a month of flying, Lin Xian and the others finally arrived at the quintessential world. The quintessential world was divided into 5 major regions: Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, Northern Plains, and Central Region. Lin Xian and the others had arrived at the Eastern Wasteland. This continent was extremely large, countless times the size of the Sky Marshall continent. In fact, in the eyes of the people of the Eastern continent, their Sky Marshall continent was called the Sky Marshall Island. On the sea, there were several tens of islands similar to the Sky Marshall Island. It had to be said that this world was truly too mystical. In the Eastern Wilderness, there were countless forces, including empires, sects, sacred grounds, and worlds. Home as for Lin Xian and the others, they were currently approaching one of these empires, the Dacian Empire. This empire was terrifying. Although it wasn't at the level of a holy land or a clan of the ancients, it was still formidable. It was said that the king of the great Xian Empire was an invincible king. He was invincible in the king realm. On the other hand, the clan of the ancients and the peerless sacred grounds had saints. In fact, some of the powers that had produced great emperors before would possess imperial armaments and terrifying foundations. That sort of strength was truly unimaginable. However, all of this was still very far away from Lin Xian. At this moment, they were still within the borders of the great Xian Empire. However, as soon as they reached the shore, Lin Xian and the others put away the spirit boat. This was because there was a huge stone tablet erected by the coast. It was clearly written on it that once one entered the empire, flying with spirit boats was forbidden. Ordinary kings didn't dare to violate this rule at all. Of course, if one was an invincible king or had surpassed the invincible king level, they could naturally ignore it. Lin Xian hadn't reached this level yet, so they stopped and put away the spirit boat before entering the great Xian Empire. However, just putting away the spiritual state wasn't enough. They still had to pay a fee. The coastline was heavily guarded by soldiers. The weakest of these soldiers were at least 8th or 9th heaven of the venerable realm. There were even many half-step kings. These were just ordinary soldiers. Some of the leaders were 1-star and 2-star kings. There were even more terrifying existences. Moreover, there are so many of these kings that almost no one dared to behave atrociously here. Looking at the armored soldiers, Lin Xian, Murong Qingcheng, and the others exclaimed, "Powerful! They were simply too powerful." On the Sky Marshall continent, kings were the pinnacle of overlords. However, here they were merely pirate leaders. One could imagine how powerful this world was. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian and the others walked forward. The fee was very simple. It was calculated based on the number of people, 1 subdivine crystal per person. On the way here, Lin Xian had already learned that the currency used in the true spirit world was subdivine crystals. There were also spirit stones here, but they were definitely more ordinary. However, they could be exchanged with subdivine crystals. The exchange rate was that 1 subdivine crystal was equal to 100 high-grade spirit stones. Lin Xian didn't have many high-grade spirit stones, but Lin Xian still had some subdivine crystals. Therefore, he could afford to pay these expenses. Soon, the group walked up. The array scanning included the demonic beasts in the storage bags. Therefore, Lin Xian and the others spent a total of 6 subdivine crystals. After paying, they were just about to leave when a hurried sound came from behind. Then, a red spirit boat quickly flew over. The spirit boat was engraved with runes that flickered with cold light. It even emitted an extremely powerful aura. Everyone looked up at the sky. Many people even whispered to each other. Their eyes were filled with shock and envy. Needless to say, The spirit boat's grade was definitely extraordinary. At this moment, the spirit boat flickered with light, and a few figures quickly descended. The first to descend was a young man in a golden robe. He had short hair and a round face. When he smiled, he looked like a Maitreya Buddha. Behind him, 3 figures also descended quickly. They were 3 middle-aged men in black armor. They were expressionless. However, from their auras, one could tell that they were 2-star kings. Judging from their appearance and demeanor, they seemed to be the golden-robed young man's bodyguards. Damn, using 2-star kings as bodyguards. How extravagant! Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and the others were shocked. It seemed that he should be a disciple of a large family. Once the golden-robed young man landed, he looked around. Then he saw Lin Xian and the others. When he saw the 3 beauties beside Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan, he was stunned. He did not expect 3 stunning beauties to gather around a young man. This shocked him. However, he soon shifted his gaze and stared at a snow-white monkey and a crimson dragon. Oh my God, are my eyes playing tricks on me? These are supreme-grade spirit beasts. Although the golden-robed young man was fat, he was not slow at all. He quickly came to Lin Xian's side and stared at the crimson dragon and the snow-white monkey while drooling. It was as if he had seen beauties. However, the beauties were Murong Qingqing and the other 2. When the surrounding people saw this, they could not help but break out in cold sweat. Chapter 1502. Top Quality. Truly top quality. This 4-legged snake probably has the bloodline of the dragon race. And this little white monkey, its aura is very strange. Even I can't see through it. Brother, where did you get these 2 spirit beasts? Why don't you just buy them for me? Damn! The corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitched. He hadn't thought that this golden-robed fatty in front of him would have taken a fancy to the crimson dragon and the little white monkey. *CK, damn fatty! Ben Huang really wants to kick you, the crimson dragon said through gritted teeth. Oh. The little white monkey was also in a bad mood. It waved its little paws and wanted to pounce. Fortunately, Lin Xian held it back. Sorry, they're my companions, not pets. So don't talk about buying or selling. Lin Xian said coldly, then turned to leave. Brother, if you don't want to sell, then don't sell. Let's talk things over, at least make friends. The golden-robed fatty didn't bully others with his power, but instead walked over with a grin. My surname is Luo, I'm Luo Zhang. Fatty Luo said with a grin. How should I address you, brother? Where are you from? Lin Xian from outside. Outside? Are you from one of those islands? Luo Zhang was surprised. The surrounding martial practitioners and guards were also surprised because they knew that very few people could break into those islands. They hadn't thought that this group of people in front of them would be from those islands. Luo Zhang was also surprised but didn't ask in detail. There were more than 10 islands in the surrounding area, and he might not be able to name them. What he was truly interested in were these 2 spirit beasts. So he hurried over. Brother, why don't we go together? I'm also going to the Xian Empire. Sure. Lin Xian saw that the other party didn't have any bad intentions and nodded. He just happened to want to find someone to ask about Danzong. Fatty Luo should be a young master of an aristocratic family and should know about Danzong. Great. Seeing that Lin Xian had agreed, Fatty Luo clapped his hands in delight. Then he said, How about this? There's a city nearby. Let's go there and talk while we eat. Along the way, Fatty Luo kept trying to get close to Lin Xian. Their team also attracted the attention of the crowd. Murong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan were simply too beautiful. It was rare for them to see such a beauty. Moreover, from what they knew, such people should be in the hands of peerless experts. Or perhaps he himself was a peerless expert. But now these three women were probably only one-star king realm cultivators. Moreover, the young man beside them was also a one-star king realm cultivator. He was pitifully weak. There were even a few cultivators who had secretly followed them from the shore. This was because they had already heard that Lin Xian had come from a distant island and had no background at all. Even if such a person was killed, it probably wouldn't attract much attention. When the time comes to kill that brat, these three beauties will be theirs. However, they didn't dare to make a move. This was because Fatty Luo was beside Lin Xian. Fatty Luo's cultivation couldn't be seen clearly, and the three bodyguards beside him were all two-star kings. When the three of them worked together, they were extremely powerful. Therefore, the people behind them only followed from afar, not daring to make a move at all. However, they didn't give up. This was because they knew that the two of them would eventually separate, and that would be the time for them to make a move. Up ahead, Lin Xian frowned. He could naturally sense the people following behind them. Sneering coldly in his heart, he ignored them. When he first came here, he didn't want to cause too much trouble. However, if those people behind them were really blind and dared to provoke him, he didn't mind sending them on their way. Up ahead, there was a huge city that was many times larger than any city on the Tianwu continent. After entering the city, Lin Xian discovered that not everyone here was a king realm cultivator. Kings were also experts in the Dexian Empire. Other than that, there were even more venerables. This made Lin Xian breathe a sigh of relief. It seemed that his situation wasn't too bad. At least, he wasn't at the bottom and should be considered a middle-level cultivator. Actually, this was very normal. The population of the true spirit world far exceeded that of the Tianwu continent, so there were more kings here. However, king realm cultivators were extremely powerful, so those who could become kings were all experts. And because the population base was large, there were even more people below the king realm, and venerables could be seen everywhere. De Feng Restaurant. The arrival of Lin Xian's group attracted the attention of the entire restaurant, especially those cultivators. Their gazes were all on Murong Qingqing's group. Murong Qingqing's group had cold faces, not saying a word, and Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. With a cold snort, Lin Xian's body faintly emitted a terrifying aura. The sword intent was formless, but incomparably sharp. The moment it appeared, it caused the atmosphere in the restaurant to suddenly drop, and everyone inexplicably trembled. Immediately, many people withdrew their gazes, their hearts filled with shock. However, they didn't think that this aura was emitted by Lin Xian. They thought that it was emitted by the golden-robed fatty beside him and the three two-star kings behind him. But no matter what, at least no one dared to look so arrogantly. This restaurant had a total of 3 floors. The hall on the first floor was the largest, and there were hundreds of tables of cultivators sitting inside. Among them, there were a few one-star kings, but most of them were venerables. However, he didn't see any two-star kings. Lin Xian was slightly surprised, but he didn't ask anything. Instead, he came to an empty table and the group sat down. "Brother, let me tell you, this restaurant is extraordinary. There's a very magical soup here. You'll know in a while." Fatty Luo had a mysterious expression. He instructed a black-clothed bodyguard behind him to order the first 7 dishes. Not long after, a few beautiful maids served some food. Lin Xian looked at the exquisite jade bowl in front of him and was greatly surprised, because there was a soup inside that emitted a rich fragrance. Not only him, but Murong Qingqing and the others were also surprised. Meanwhile, Fatty Luo said with a smile, "Brother, try it." "Okay." Lin Xian nodded. This was the first time he had seen such a delicious soup, so he quickly drank a big mouthful. The taste was very good, but as soon as he drank a mouthful, he felt a wave of heat spread out from his body. It was as if he wasn't drinking soup, but an extremely terrifying flame. The heat wave became stronger and stronger, crazily colliding in his body as if it was about to explode. "What's going on?" Lin Xian frowned. On the side, Crimson Dragon, Morong Qingqing, and the others also put down the bowls and chopsticks in their hands and looked at Fatty Luo with uncertain expressions. Fatty Luo smiled bitterly. *CK, brother, who told you to eat so much? This is called four-beast soup. It's made from 4 king beasts. The energy inside is very terrifying. Even kings would take small sips of it. It's my fault I didn't explain it clearly," Fatty Luo said apologetically. However, at this moment, a disdainful sneer came from the side. "Sai, what an idiot. How dare he drink such a big mouthful? Humph, he hasn't even heard of four-beast soup. Is this guy a country bumpkin? A country bumpkin actually has 3 stunning beauties? It's really like putting flowers on cow dung." Chapter 1503. A few disdainful sneers sounded. Their voices filled with provocation. The sneers came from a few one-star kings. They'd thought that Lin Xian was a young master from some large family, which explained why he had 3 beauties despite his low cultivation. But now, it seemed that this was simply impossible, because all the young masters of the great Xian Empire knew about the four-beast soup, but this young man before them didn't know anything about it. Obviously, he came from the countryside. They wouldn't care about such a person with the cultivation of a one-star king. Lin Xian frowned, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Along the way, he'd felt many greedy gazes. Obviously, it was because his cultivation was low. If he was an unparalleled expert, these people probably wouldn't even dare to look at him. Although Lin Xian was only a one-star king, this year of cultivation had caused his strength to skyrocket. Now, 2-star kings were no match for him. Even 3-star kings might not be able to defeat him. The great dragon sword soul was an offensive saint art. Now that Lin Xian had entered the king realm, he could even unleash the terrifying power of the great dragon sword soul. So he planned to display his strength to intimidate these people. Otherwise, these people would fly around him like flies, and he'd be tired of them. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile as he circulated the art of longevity within his body, quickly absorbing the violent energy. In an instant, the heat on his body disappeared, and even his originally red skin returned to normal. What? He's fine? How is this possible? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. They had been paying attention to Lin Xian all this time, especially the few one-star king tiers, who were looking at him coldly. This was because the four-beast soup was made with 4 kinds of demonic beasts. Its energy was extremely terrifying. If too much was used, one's body would probably explode. One-star kings couldn't withstand that energy at all. In their opinion, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to escape such an outcome. But they didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, the heat on his body had completely disappeared. They didn't dare to believe it. Damn it, how did he do it? The group of people were shocked, and those king tiers who were sneering also had gloomy expressions as they gnashed their teeth. This was completely different from what they had imagined. On the side, Fatty Luo was also speechless. Then he said with a grin, "Brother, you're really something." Lin Xian also smiled and said, "The soup is not bad. It's delicious." Finally, he picked it up and wanted to drink it again. But at this moment, another group of people walked in from the door. As soon as these people appeared, the originally noisy hall immediately quieted down. That was because the auras of these people were too powerful. They were surrounded by a monstrous killing intent. They were like killing gods. The person in the lead was a tall and sturdy man. His face was ferocious, and his cultivation was even more powerful. He was a 2-star king. There were many 1-star kings and 9th-level venerables behind him. Damn, the Iron Fist pirates, why are they here? Everyone screamed when they saw this group of people. Many of them trembled and almost knelt on the ground. Pirates were extremely terrifying. They specialized in robbing and killing passing spirit boats. The Iron Fist Pirates were one of the more famous pirates. The appearance of this group of people caused the atmosphere in the hall to become extremely heavy. Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and the others also frowned. This was because they realized that the people who had appeared were the pirates who had intercepted them previously. They had not expected that the other party would actually appear here. "Kid, what should we do? Should we attack?" the Crimson Dragon asked. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. "Don't be anxious. Let's observe the situation first." Although Lin Xian's side did not attack, the expressions of the Iron Fist Pirates changed drastically when they entered. This was especially so for their leader, the tall and sturdy Iron Fist. He stared at Lin Xian. "It's you, it's actually you." He looked at Lin Xian, his voice trembling as his killing intent surged. Although he had never seen Lin Xian before, he could sense the aura of the Black Earth on Lin Xian's body. They clearly remembered the Black Earth because it was the one who had destroyed all their spirit boats. It had even killed many of their brothers. Now that he saw Lin Xian, his eyes turned red. However, he quickly revealed a sinister smile. This was because he realized that the cultivation of Lin Xian and the others was pitifully weak. One-star kings, there were actually only one-star kings, other than the golden-robed fatty and the 3 bodyguards behind him. The rest were only one-star kings. This kind of strength could not withstand a single blow from him. In particular, there were 3 peerless beauties beside Lin Xian, causing him to drool. "Ha ha ha! The heavens are really helping me. Kid, you dared to crash my spirit boat. Today will be the day you die." The tall and sturdy man laughed sinisterly. The voices of the pirates behind him were also sinister. "What beautiful girls! I've struck gold. There are probably only a few of these beauties in the entire Great Xian Empire. Who would have thought that we would encounter them? Haha, kid, you're dead meat. I advise you to kneel on the ground obediently. Perhaps I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you regret being born into this world." Sinister voices rang out, causing the expressions of everyone in the hall to change. What? That country bumpkin actually provoked the Iron Fist pirate ship? He's dead meat. He's definitely dead meat. Sigh, he's indeed a country bumpkin. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. The few one-star kings who had been sneering earlier were sneering even more. However, it was a pity that these beauties belonged to the Iron Fist pirate ship. At this moment, the golden-robed fatty also frowned. "Brother, how did you provoke the Iron Fist pirate ship? They are a group of ruthless people. However, it's fate that brought us together. How about it? Do you need my help?" "No need. Thank you for your kind intentions, Brother Luo. I can handle this small matter." Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. What? Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. Dealing with the Iron Fist pirate ship was a small matter? Oh heavens, does he even have a brain? Not to mention the surrounding cultivators. Even Fatty Luo and the 3 two-star bodyguards behind him were stunned. This was because they could clearly sense that Lin Xian's cultivation was only that of a 1-star king. As for the Iron Fist pirate ship, just the captain alone was a 2-star king. In addition, there were 7 or 8 1-star kings behind him. This kind of strength was extremely powerful. In the entire hall, perhaps only the 3 2-star kings behind Fatty Luo could contend against them. However, Lin Xian said that this was a small matter. Where did he get his confidence from? Fatty Luo still wanted to persuade him, but the Iron Fist pirate ship opposite him suddenly burst out laughing. What did he say? Deal with us? Ha 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 ha. What a joke. Brat, do you know who you're talking to? What an idiot. He's dead meat. He's definitely dead meat. Boss, let me deal with him. At this moment, a middle-aged man beside the burly man laughed sinisterly. Chapter 1504. Boss, let me deal with him. At this moment, a middle-aged man beside the burly man said with a sinister smile, "All right, be careful. Don't kill him all of a sudden. That won't be fun." The members of the Iron Fist Pirates were joking around, completely disregarding Lin Xian and the others. On the opposite side, Lin Xian was calm and collected. The Crimson Dragon beside him gritted his teeth, itching to go up and attack. However, Murong Qingqing and the others were a little nervous. After all, this was the first time they had seen so many kings, especially the burly man. His aura was even more terrifying than their old ancestors. Such a person could destroy the entire Tianwu continent. Therefore, they could not help but be nervous. On the opposite side, the middle-aged man received the order and took a step forward. His aura quickly condensed. He was a one-star king, and he was one of the stronger ones. Although the middle-aged man looked ordinary, his aura was abnormally terrifying. He was like a god of war who had descended from the 9 heavens, emitting a powerful aura. "Kid, let me teach you how to behave." The middle-aged man sneered. Then his figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Lin Xian. His 5 fingers formed a claw and quickly grabbed Lin Xian's head. The middle-aged man's attack was very spiritual. His palm was like a 5-fingered mountain, resounding through the void and blooming with bright light. If this palm was used, Lin Xian would be crippled even if he did not die. In the entire hall, everyone shook their heads and sighed. However, in the next moment, everyone was stunned, because the scene of blood splattering out as they had imagined did not happen. In fact, the resplendent light from the palm was also rapidly disappearing. Everyone looked carefully, and then their mouths fell open, because in front of them, the middle-aged man's palm was easily caught by Lin Xian. What? He caught it? How is this possible? Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. The Iron Fist Pirates also frowned. It was obvious that Lin Xian's strength was beyond their expectations. The middle-aged man's pupils shrank. He looked at Lin Xian in horror as if he had seen a ghost. How is this possible? How is this possible? How is it possible for him to receive his attack so easily? Damn it, I don't believe it. I must have been careless just now. The middle-aged man roared ferociously. He wanted to withdraw his palm and attack again. However, he realized that he couldn't do it at all. Because his hand was firmly grasped by Lin Xian, he couldn't move at all. What? Such strength! Damn it, get out of my way! The middle-aged man roared as his body exploded with a resplendent light. A massive amount of power surged towards his opponent's palm. Even if it was a giant mountain, it would still crumble. However, Lin Xian's palm remained unchanged. Kill me with a single palm? Disdain for me? This is your strength. Lin Xian sneered, his eyes emitting a cold light. Then he exerted a little force in his palm, and the middle-aged man in front of him immediately screamed. Hearing this voice, everyone felt their scalps go numb. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be so strong. Even Fatty Luo and the 3 2-star bodyguards behind him were greatly astonished. The middle-aged man's expression was hideous. It was too painful. His wrist couldn't take it at all if the other party exerted a little force. However, as a member of the Iron Fist pirate crew, he couldn't beg for mercy in front of so many people, so he could only grit his teeth and speak. "Break it if you have the guts, or else I'll definitely kill you. Kid, let me go if you know what's good for you. Offending our pirate crew won't let you live." Although Lin Xian had subdued him, the middle-aged man was still incomparably arrogant. However, Lin Xian turned his head and asked, "Brother Luo, if I kill these people, will it affect you?" Fatty Luo stared blankly for a moment, then understood that Lin Xian was thinking for him. Then he chuckled and said, "Brother, feel free to attack. There's no one in the entire empire of Dexian that I'm afraid of." What arrogance! Lin Xian was slightly astonished. It seemed that this Fatty Luo's identity was definitely not simple. However, this was even better. he wouldn't have any more misgivings. In the next moment, he turned his head and stared at the middle-aged man again, a trace of killing intent appearing in his eyes. "What do you want to do?" The middle-aged man trembled under the gaze of this gaze. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out, and the middle-aged man let out a blood-curdling scream. This was because his entire arm had been broken by Lin Xian. Everyone was shocked, and their scalps went numb. They didn't think that Lin Xian would really dare to attack. The people of the Iron Fist pirate crew were even more furious, and they roared, "You're courting death!" Soon, 3 one-star kings charged towards Lin Xian. On the other hand, Lin Xian threw out a punch and sent the middle-aged man flying. Then he shouted, "Scram!" Pu-piu-piu. The 3 one-star kings trembled as if they had been struck by lightning. They spat out large mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying. Shocked, everyone was shocked. They didn't think that Lin Xian would injure 3 one-star kings with a single sound. Isn't this strength a little too terrifying? Damn it, who is this brat? How can he have such powerful battle prowess? He hid his strength. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to be so powerful. Everyone was extremely shocked. They realized that they had underestimated this youth. Injuring 3 one-star kings with a single sound was definitely not something that a 1-star king could do. This was at least the strength of a 2-star king. Damn it, we've been deceived. This brat's strength still surpasses 1-star kings. On the opposite side, the people of the Iron Fist pirate crew had sinister expressions, especially the burly man, whose face was even gloomier. "Brat, you've indeed exceeded my expectations. However, do you think you can defeat us like this? You're too naive. Today, I'll show you my strength." The burly man shouted coldly, and silver light appeared on his fists. He was a 2-star king, and his strength was extremely powerful. He was very close to the middle stage of the 2-star king realm. With a roar, the burly man punched out with both fists. They were like silver, demonic beasts, flickering in the air. Not good. The Iron Fist pirate crew has attacked. Although this Iron Fist is arrogant and has killed countless people, his strength is incomparably terrifying. Especially his fists, they're even more powerful. Yeah, he should be practicing the 100 crack fist. Judging from his aura, I'm afraid that no one in the early stage of the 2-star king realm is his match. I wonder how that brat is doing. Can he take it? Impossible. Although that brat has the battle prowess of a 2-star king, he's at most in the early stage of the 2-star king realm. After all, he's still young. I'm afraid he won't be able to block the Iron Fist at all. Everyone was discussing quickly. However, at this moment, the Iron Fist's fists were already flying toward Lin Shui. The entire void trembled as an extremely powerful force ruthlessly rushed toward Lin Xian. This was the power of a 2-star king. Moreover, the silver light contained an explosive aura. It was extremely terrifying. However, Lin Xian didn't care. He stretched out his hand and grabbed forward. What? He's actually resisting with his bare hands. Does he want to die? When everyone saw this scene, their scalps went numb. The Iron Fist roared, "Humph, he's really courting death." He was very confident in his fist technique. His opponent definitely wouldn't be able to block it. Chapter 1505. Boom! The next moment, a deep sound was heard. The entire void cracked open, and a violent aura blew at everyone. The kings were still fine, but the supremacies were even bleeding from their ears and trembling. This punch was too terrifying. However, Iron Fist widened his eyes in disbelief. His body was even trembling slightly. This was because his punch was easily blocked by the other party. Green sword chi circled around the palm. Although it was calm, it was like a huge mountain in front of him. No matter how hard he tried, he could not break it. Iron Fist pirate team? 2 Star Kings? How arrogant. But I'm curious, is this what gives you the right to be arrogant in front of me? You're so weak. Lin Xian sneered. What? He blocked it. He actually blocked Iron Fist's attack? How is this possible? Heavens, I'm not dreaming, am I? At this moment, everyone was shocked and trembling, especially the people of Iron Fist Pirate Team. They looked at Lin Xian with a trace of fear. It couldn't be helped. This was too shocking. One had to know that Iron Fist was their leader and a 2-star king. His strength was incomparably terrifying. Moreover, they had been killing all year round and had monstrous killing intent. Ordinary kings were not their match at all. But now a young man in his 20s had actually blocked Iron Fist's attack, and he seemed to be doing it very easily. This was something they did not dare to imagine. Lin Xian sneered and gently waved his palm forward. Immediately, the cyan sword qi on his palm rapidly surged, transforming into numerous sharp swords that pierced towards the burly man. Iron Fist's scalp went numb because he could feel the power contained in the green sword qi. It was enough to cut his body open. Damn it, this is impossible. Who is he? How can he have such powerful combat strength? He was simply too shocked. His entire body retreated rapidly like a mountain, moving rapidly in the void. At the same time, countless silver lights condensed on his body, forming a Silver King's domain that completely enveloped him. He's attacking, he's going all out. Everyone cried out in shock because they realized that Iron Fist had already used his king's domain. He was definitely going all out. However, the cyan sword ray flickered and slashed down rapidly, instantly slicing apart the silver domain. Bang bang! A low and deep voice sounded. Iron Fist seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and his body kept retreating. There were several sword scars on his body. They were extremely terrifying, and in some places, white bones could be seen. Heavily injured, he had been heavily injured by his opponent in an instant. This was simply too terrifying. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. This was especially true for the members of the Iron Fist pirate group. Their bodies began to tremble as they watched this scene in horror. Impossible! How is this possible? How could Commander lose? Damn it! Who was this kid? How can he be so powerful? At this moment, everyone was terrified. As for the burly man, he struggled to stand up and quickly took out some medicinal pills to stop the injuries on his body. Then he said fiercely, "Good boy, I'll remember you. However, this matter isn't over yet. Let's wait and see." With a cold snort, the burly man was supported by several kings and was about to leave. However, at this moment, Lin Xian sneered, "Stop right there. Did I say you could leave?" Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. However, the burly man and the others turned around abruptly. "What did you say? You dare to stop me?" The burly man's face was ferocious. "Kid, let me tell you, I'm from the Zhao family." "What? The Zhao family?" Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They didn't expect this pirate group to be from the Zhao family. Is the Zhao family very powerful? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. They're all right. In the Dexian Empire, they can be considered a large force, Fatty Luo said slowly. I see. Lin Xian nodded. At this moment, the burly man sneered again. How is it, kid? Are you afraid now? Let me tell you, you're dead for daring to offend my Zhao family. Kneel down and kowtow to me now. Moreover, give me these 3 chicks, and I'll consider leaving your corpse intact. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. You talk too much. Lin Xian snorted. I don't care which family you are. If you dare to cross my bottom line, then you'll have to pay the price. Break one of your arms and I'll let you leave. Lin Xian's voice sounded. What? Break one of your arms? Hearing this, everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. Iron Fist and the others had already revealed their identity as members of the Zhao family. That was an extremely powerful trump card. However, the other party was still unwilling to give up. Was he not afraid of the Zhao family's revenge? Or did he think that he could contend with the Zhao family? Break one of your arms? Kid, dream on. Just you wait. When I return to my family, it'll be the time of your death. Iron Fist sneered and turned to leave. Beside him, the pirates also sneered. It was obvious that they didn't take Lin Xian's warning to heart. Stubborn. Since it's like this, I can only do it myself. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Xian's figure suddenly disappeared and rushed toward Iron Fist and the others. Kid, you're courting death. Seeing this, the burly man and the others were furious. The other party actually dared to attack. How dare he? With a roar, Iron Fist displayed a Silver King's domain. The other one-star kings also pulled out their swords and sabers. At the same time, kings' domains quickly formed around them. However, Lin Xian was like a ghost as he instantly appeared around them. What? So fast? Everyone was shocked. They didn't even see how Lin Xian appeared. Moreover, what was even more shocking was that Iron Fist and the others' king's domains had no effect on Lin Xian. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was heard, followed by a few screams and blood spurting out. In the next moment, Iron Fist and the others were all sent flying. However, there were a few more arms on the ground. You! Iron Fist fell to the ground, holding his broken arm and roaring ferociously. Until now, he still couldn't believe that Lin Xian had really cut off his right arm. Not only him, but all the people he brought with him also had an arm cut off. How did Lin Xian do it? How could he ignore his Silver King's domain? Everyone looked at this scene and was so shocked that they couldn't even speak. Powerful. He was too powerful. He didn't give them any leeway at all. This is a lesson for you. If there's a next time, I'll kill you. Get out of here. Lin Xian turned around and walked into the restaurant. As for Iron Fist and the others, their faces were full of fear as they quickly left. Although they were mad and furious, they didn't dare to say anything because they were really afraid that Lin Xian would kill them. Lin Xian returned to the restaurant's main hall. For a moment, everyone was terrified, and the entire hall was silent. The few kings who had mocked Lin Xian before were now trembling. Chapter 1506. For a moment, everyone was terrified, and the entire hall was silent. As for the kings who had mocked Lin Xian before, their bodies were trembling. Fear, incomparable fear. Previously, they thought that Lin Xian was a country bumpkin, so they mocked him. Moreover, they didn't think that Lin Xian was that powerful. But now, they realized that they were completely wrong. Although he was only a one-star king, his strength was even stronger than a two-star king. This was definitely a fierce person that they couldn't provoke. Therefore, the three one-star kings quickly got up and ran outside. They really didn't dare to stay here any longer. Seeing that the three were about to escape, Lin Xian lightly snorted. Immediately, their bodies stiffened, and their faces revealed expressions that were even uglier than crying. Great, great hero, spare us. We had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. We have sinned before, so please be magnanimous and don't bother with us. Yes, we were wrong. We apologize. The three one-star kings were extremely humble, and they no longer had the arrogance from before. This was a very realistic world. If you didn't have power, you would be bullied, and mocked. If you displayed great power, you would immediately receive respect, status, and status. This was the principle of the entire world. Whether it was the Tianwu continent or the true spirit world, it was the same. You're wrong. I don't hold grudges because I usually take revenge on the spot. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Spare us. Hearing this, the three cried and almost knelt down. Lin Xian picked up a bowl of 4-beef soup from the table and walked in front of the three. I won't make things difficult for you. Each of you drink a big mouthful, and I'll let you leave." "What? Drink a big mouthful?" The three had the heart to die. This was the four-beast soup, and its power was incomparably terrifying. If they drank a big mouthful, they definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the power. However, if they didn't drink it, the result would be even worse. Thinking of this, the three were so regretful that their intestines turned green. Why did they mock him before? Now they had fallen to such a state. They deserved it. Bracing themselves, the three of them each drank a big mouthful of the four-beast soup. Immediately their skin turned red, and a violent force rampaged through their bodies as if it was about to explode. Among them, the weaker one directly vomited blood. The other two had incomparably ugly expressions as they quickly suppressed the energy in their bodies. Then, the three of them struggled to walk out of the door. However, it didn't take long for the other two to suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood. Terrifying, too terrifying. The energy contained within was not something they could withstand. Indeed, if an ordinary one-star king ordered a bowl of four-beast soup, they would have to drink it for at least a day. If it was weaker, it would take 2 or 3 days to completely digest it. As for the three of them, they probably couldn't refine a third of the energy. Lin Xian shook his head. "Isn't it just a mouthful of soup? Is there a need for this? How fragile!" Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. In the next moment, they widened their eyes because Lin Xian picked up another bowl of four-beast soup and drank it in one gulp. Probably not even a 2-star king would dare to drink it in one gulp. Only a 3-star king would dare to do so. However, the young man in front of them was so bold as to directly drink the entire bowl. Lin Xian felt as if he wasn't drinking soup, but a volcano that was about to erupt. The aura in his body quickly boiled. With a loud laugh, Lin Xian quickly used the longevity incantation, displaying an extremely powerful absorption ability. Soon, the violent energy was completely refined by the longevity incantation and turned into his spiritual energy. So satisfying! Lin Xian felt a wave of comfort. "Brother, you're so powerful. You're really good at hiding your strength. Even I was almost fooled by you." Fatty Luo was also surprised. "Brother, where on earth are you from? Which island could have such a strong person like you? Why do I feel like you're a disciple from a sacred ground or a clan of the ancients? If you think so, then so be it." Lin Xian smiled. He wouldn't admit to any of his identities because the more fog around him, the safer he would be. "Oh right, Fatty Luo, tell me about Danzong," Lin Xian asked. Hearing this, the corners of Fatty Luo's mouth twitched. "Brother, how do you know my nickname? Is it that hard to guess? I can tell just by looking at your face." Lin Xian shrugged. Fatty Luo wanted to cry, but had no tears. The 3 bodyguards behind him also twitched their mouths, while Morong Qingqing and the others covered their mouths and chuckled. This smile was like 100 flowers blooming, directly melting the frozen atmosphere. Everyone's eyes were fixed on him. However, this time, they didn't dare to be impudent. They all sat upright and still, looking straight ahead, not daring to look at Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, Morong Qingqing and the others laughed loudly. They looked at Lin Xian with eyes full of tenderness. Fatty Luo asked, "Brother, why do you want to know about Danzong? Don't tell me you have a grudge with Danzong too? No, you're thinking too much. I want to join Danzong, and I'm asking if you have a way." "Join Danzong?" Fatty Luo was stunned. "Are you an alchemist? What, don't I look like one?" Lin Xian asked back. "I really can't tell. Brother, if you really want to join Danzong, I do have a way." "Let's hear it." This restaurant has 3 floors. The first floor is just an ordinary floor. Normally, powerful kings won't be here. They'll go to the second floor. There's a 3rd floor above this. That's a place only geniuses can go. Today, there's a small gathering on the third floor, and there's a Danzong disciple among them. Do you want me to introduce you? There's a Danzong disciple on the third floor." Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to meet someone from Danzong as soon as he arrived in the empire of Dexian. It seemed his luck wasn't bad. "Okay, let's go take a look." Lin Xian didn't hesitate. He immediately stood up and led Morong Qingqing and the others to the third floor with Fatty Luo. "Brother, don't blame me for not reminding you. The third floor isn't a place ordinary people can enter. Either you have status or you have strength." "What kind of strength?" Lin Xian asked. "You're at least a 2-star king. There might even be a 2-star king in the late stage." Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Although it was only a difference of a few words, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Because the king realm was truly too terrifying. Every single bit of improvement caused a tremendous change in one's strength. It could be said that cultivators of the same level had vastly different strengths. Moreover, a 2-star king in the late stage was at least at the level of the heavenly netherbird. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid. Chapter 1507. With He Tu's guidance, as well as the various resources and secret manuals on the Black Earth, his strength could be said to have improved by leaps and bounds in this year's cultivation. Now he had an unimaginable number of secret techniques in his hands. Coupled with the Dragon Sword Soul's super strong battle strength, Lin Xian could now sweep through anyone below the level of a 3-star king. As for a 3-star king, he also had the power to fight. Therefore, even after hearing Fatty Luo's reminder, he didn't hesitate and directly walked up. More than half of the people on the second floor were gone, and even fewer people were on the third floor. It was silent without a single shadow. Not only that, but there was also a cold middle-aged man standing on the stairs to the third floor. His figure was as tall as a mountain, blocking the path. That martial artist in black coldly glanced at Lin Xian and the others, then frowned. "Those who have no business here, leave at once. The third floor isn't for you to go up." He naturally saw through the cultivation of Lin Xian and the others. They were only 1-star kings. They couldn't even go up to the second floor with this bit of strength, let alone the third floor? What a joke! How dare you! Hearing that martial artist in black's rebuke, a 2-star bodyguard behind Fatty Luo stood out, emitting a powerful aura. "My surname is Luo," Fatty Luo said with a smile. "Luo." The martial artist in black thought for a long time, but couldn't think of any major force in the Dexian Empire with the surname Luo. He was just about to refuse when the 3 2-star bodyguards behind Fatty Luo emitted extremely powerful auras. Instantly, that martial artist in black's expression changed. 3 2-star martial artists as bodyguards. This wasn't something an ordinary person could do. They were definitely disciples of a major family. Although he couldn't guess which family they were from, he thought that their identity should be extraordinary. Then he nodded slightly. "You can go in, but they can't." Saying that, the martial artist in black's gaze once again fell on Lin Xian and the others, and the corners of his mouth curled up in a cold smile. "Brother Lin." Fatty Luo turned around and asked. "I'll do it myself." Lin Xian nodded slightly and didn't let Fatty Luo and the others attack. Instead, he stepped forward and walked up. "Get down." Seeing Lin Xian not retreat, but advance, the black-clothed martial artist's face sank. Since he was standing here, he was naturally choosing people. The young man before him was only a 1-star king realm cultivator, so it was impossible for him to let him go. Thus, in the next moment, he shouted coldly and waved his palm. Suddenly, the void trembled, and a palm blooming with light pushed horizontally in the air. It was like a 5-finger mountain, wanting to crush Lin Xian. Lin Xian focused his gaze and punched out as well. His blood and qi circulated in his body, emitting a rumbling sound. His arm was like a huge dragon, surging rapidly. With a punch, the entire void started to tremble. Pung! A deep voice sounded out before it quickly dissipated. However, the black-clothed warrior's expression changed drastically as he quickly retreated a few steps. Bang, bang, bang. Every step he took was on the void, even leaving a black crack in it. Shocking! It was too shocking. He did not expect that his opponent would be able to send him flying with a single punch. How was this possible? The other party was only a one-star king tier, so how could he possess such powerful strength? However, no matter how much he did not believe it, the truth was right in front of him. How is it? I'm qualified now, right? Lin Xian asked with a smile. You're very strong, so you're qualified to enter. The black-clothed warrior nodded solemnly. He was a 2-star King Realm cultivator, so anyone who could defeat him was definitely qualified to enter. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded, then turned around and said, "Let's go." The group moved forward, but the black-clothed warrior blocked their way again. You can enter, but they can't. The black-clothed warrior pointed at Murong Qingcheng and the others behind Lin Xian and said coldly. Immediately, Lin Xian frowned. They're my friends, so they naturally have to enter with me. No matter who they are, they can't enter. Unless they can defeat me, the black-clothed warrior said coldly. Hearing this, Murong Qingcheng and the others fell silent. After a year of cultivation, they had already become 1-star kings, but the black-clothed warrior in front of them was a 2-star king realm. It was impossible for them to challenge someone of a higher level. Brother Lin Xian, forget it. Why don't we wait outside? Shen Jingqiu was a little uneasy. No. Lin Xian shook his head decisively. You're my women. If I can't even bring my own women in, what's the point of cultivating? In the next moment, he turned around and looked at the black-clothed warrior again. I'll give you one last chance. Get out of my way. The black-clothed warrior's face was gloomy. He had never been looked down upon like this. Although Lin Xian had forced him to retreat, he wasn't someone to be trifled with if they really fought. Kid, this is the rule here. You'd better not break it, or don't blame me for being rude. The black-clothed warrior wanted to say something more, but in the next moment, his face changed drastically. This was because a green light suddenly appeared on Lin Xian's body and instantly enveloped him. You're courting death. The black-clothed warrior was furious. A powerful aura surged from his body, and he was about to counterattack. However, in the next moment, he froze. That terrifying aura also disappeared in an instant. It couldn't be helped. A green domain had completely enveloped him at this moment. There were countless sharp swords pressed against his throat. As long as he moved, those swords would pierce his throat. Although he was a 2-star king, he was still afraid of death. Drip, drip. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead. The black-clothed warrior was completely drenched. He was terrified. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to subdue him in an instant. One had to know that repelling and subduing were different. Repelling meant that Lin Xian had the strength to fight him, but subduing him meant that Lin Xian's strength completely surpassed his. Lin Xian could kill him in an instant. Thinking of this, the black-clothed warrior was terrified. Lin Xian was clearly a 1-star king, but his combat strength shocked him to the core. Not to mention the black-clothed warrior. Even Fatty Luo and the 3 2-star bodyguards behind him were shocked. This was because Lin Xian's strength had once again exceeded their expectations. Can I bring people in now? Lin Xian asked coldly. Yes. The black-clothed warrior nodded with difficulty. He didn't dare to resist now because his life was in Lin Xian's hands. Let's go. Lin Xian turned around and pulled Murong Qingcheng and Shen Jingqiu. Then, the group of people walked to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor had an antique atmosphere and was very quiet. There were very few people here, only 7 or 8. At this moment, everyone's gaze was fixed on the staircase. This was because they didn't expect that other than them, there would be someone else who could follow them to the third floor. In the next moment, those people were stunned because there were a lot of people on the third floor. One of them was a fat man in a golden robe, followed by 3 black-clothed bodyguards. On the other side was a handsome young man, followed by 3 stunning beauties. Next to him was a red 4-horned snake with a snow-white monkey on top of it. This group was very spectacular. At this moment, everyone on the third floor was stunned. They didn't expect there to be so many people. However, a hint of anger appeared on their faces soon after. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.